and we'll see who's going to win this bad boy and crown ourselves a new champion here in Richmond, Virginia. And again, Rose has got the blue-white deck. Lao has basically the mono-red deck with a small splash of green. So Lao's deck is pretty aggressive, and Rose has a kind of defensive blue-white deck because he has 2 Angelic Walls and 3 Celestial Flares. So I feel like things might be leaning Rose's way in this matchup.
Potentially. You see Albert Liao opens up on a Dragon Hatchling, a card that we saw once yesterday. We're pretty impressed with it, and it was promptly pacified because it was such a threat.
Yeah, because it was a real thing. And here is an Angelic Wall to stop that thing right away. And this is the thing I kind of fear for Liao, is that between 2 Angelic Walls, 3 Celestial Flares, and the other options that Rose has, it's probably going to be pretty difficult for Liao to actually get through damage.
Liao plays Regathan Firecat, another card we were pretty impressed with yesterday.
Yep.
Unfortunately for him, he only has 1 in his deck, so he can't have that start every game.
Here's a Plains, 3 mana, and we're going to time out that right back to the top of the deck. So, just going to play that and pass the turn back.
Misses a land drop there after a timeout.
Good timeout.
That is a brutal one.
Rose misses his land drop as well, so both players stuck on 3 lands. Lao's going to draw a card. It's not a land. It looks like it was a Shiv's Embrace.
It was.
In comes the Hatchling, and in comes the Firecat. You see Rose going to take a look at the Hatchling, make sure he knows what it does.
Blocking the Hatchling. Firecat would kill the wall. He doesn't really want to use that. Yeah.
Yep, Celestial Flare.
Yeah, Liao obviously knows about some number of those flares. Just sends in that Hatchling as a throwaway. And it looks like he has another awesome throwaway for those flares in a Molten Birth.
Okay. So that's going to give him 2 tokens right now, and, provided things go correctly, it'll be going back to his hand.
So, in this matchup, he has multiple Molten Bursts in his deck and multiple Pitchburn Devils, so he actually has ways to play around Celestial Flares, assuming they know about all of them.
Yeah. So let's see who's going to win the die roll. Flare is going to go bye-bye. So just 2 1/1s for 3 mana and passing the turn back. So let's see if Rose can find his 4th land. He does not. He finds a Sensory Deprivation to slow down the 4/1 and pass the turn back.
Squad of 1/1s over here for Albert Liao, bringing the mediocre but acceptable beats.
Yeah. All right, so Lao's going to hit the 4th land drop first. There is his 4th mountain. You see a Shiv's Embrace in his hand. He also has a Pitchburn Devils and a Mystery card.
No real incentive for him to Shiv's Embrace anything here.
I don't think so either. Just going to force through 2 points of damage, put Rose down to 14. We'll just pass with no spell. So you'd still, you're, I guess Shiv Embrace doesn't do a lot on this particular turn.
Yeah. So Kyle Rose also finds a land, plays a Charging Griffin. The 2/2 will hold back all these 1/1s.
Yeah. But for how long?
Yeah. Up until the point where the Chandra's Outrage is likely getting cast.
Yep. The one thing you have to ask yourself for your Liao is how great is the Chandra's Outrage on the Griffin there versus, it seems like it's perfectly fine, get 2 damage that way, force through 2 more points of damage. Can you save it for a better target? It doesn't look like it. So he's going to Chandra Outrage the Griffin, force through 2 more points of damage, put Rose down to 10. As Rose is going to draw his card, we'll see if he can find a 5th land.
He's not, but he has a Griffin Sentinel, which is just as good at holding this down.
Yeah, it really is. Pretty good draw there from Rose if it's not going to be a land. As Lao's going to draw a 5th land, it's going to be his first forest.
Worth noting, it looks like Liao has a Seismic Stomp in his hand, and that's not so good against this board of flyers.
No, it's really not that great here. I like it as a way to be able to push through damage, of course, but against this board of flyers, it's not going to be very good. It's just not, it doesn't seem like it's going to be good in this matchup.
Albert Liao playing a Pitchburn Devils, likely his target for Shiv's Embrace.
Rose turns over the top card of his deck. It's an island. He can start by attacking with the Griffin Sentinel for 1. He's going to put Liao down to 19. Well, let's see what the follow-up's going to be, because he put that island into play right off the top. See if he has something like a Messenger Drake or a different 5-drop. We know his deck is full of very good 5-drops. Just going to play Charging Griffin and pass the turn back.
Looks like he does have the Messenger Drake, just opting to cast the Charging Griffin here.
Now, one card that Rose does have in his hand, or has in his deck, I'm not sure if it's in his hand, is Pay No Heed.
Yeah.
He decided to main deck that instead of sideboarding it in. So here's a 4 mana. This is a Shiv's Embrace. Firecat.
opting not to put all his eggs in one basket on the Pitchburn Devils.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
He has the 1 mana up to pump it to a 4-power creature. It's a can get up to a 4/3, which makes this double block actually pretty profitable for Kyle.
Yeah. Toughness wise, for that Fire Cat, or excuse me, for the Fire Cat with Ship's Embrace.
Yeah.
One, it's gonna have 3 toughness, so it's actually gonna be a pretty good double block plus pay no heat, I think.
Even if he doesn't have the pay no heat, he traded his Griffin for Ship's Embrace.
Sure.
That's acceptable.
So you see Liao is going to organize blockers.
It's the Sentinel first.
A little surprised by that.
Yeah.
And Rose is perfectly fine with this trade, basically a 2 for 2. I'm going to follow that up with the striking sliver and pass the turn back. Would you pay no heat there, or you're happy with the 2 for 2?
What's these I think that's Barrage.
Yeah, it's Barrage. Excuse me, it's Barrage the Expendables. I apologize.
That may be why he left the 2/2 in play. He can throw his Molten Growth tokens at it and not care.
Okay. So there's another Charging Griffin, and just going to pass the turn back, so that's all 3.
Yeah. I think if I had pay no heed, it's actually a tough call. I don't know.
So what do we have here? There's a Blur Sliver. So here are some attacks.
Send it in with the squad.
All right, with everybody.
So the really cool thing is that this Barrage of Expendables is going to make it so even if Kyle Rose makes a good block of the Griffin on the 1/1, that's a damage through.
Yeah, he can just force through damage by sending it upstairs.
Yeah, and we're looking at a board where Pitchburn Devils is in play. Kyle Rose is in a very scary position. He could actually just die to burn.
Yeah, Pitchburn Devils is going to represent 4 points of damage right now. 3 from its ability and 1 from Barrage Expendables.
We didn't see a lot of Barrage yesterday, but I'm starting to think that card might be very good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's a card that we didn't see like at all yesterday, but it's the ability to be able to force through damage. You see Rose going to take a look at Pay No Heat again, and going to cast it, targeting Blur Sliver.
I think with the Pay No Heat, he might have cast it if Liao had ordered the Charging Griffin first, he might have saved that. But if he's just losing Sentinel.
You see the sacrifice of the Blur Sliver is going to target the Angelic Wall after damage happens. Pitchburn Devil is going to deal the final 3, excuse me. 2 points are going to come through from the Elementals. It looks like Rose is going to go down to 8. And he is behind here, mostly because of that Barrage Expendables.
We have an update on one of the back tables. Stephen Cowley is up 1-0 versus David Visco.
Okay. So the Cowley brothers and Rose currently ahead, but a long way to go, of course.
Looks like it's a bit of a green mirror on that back table.
Yeah.
4 mana. Archaeomancer returns. Pay no heat.
See if Rose wants to do anything else this turn, if he wants to try attacking, or does he have to be defensive moving forward?
He is at an effective 2 life.
Yeah. That is the scary part of this.
His face kind of shows that, if you can see.
Yeah, I mean he's really deciding, can I afford to get attacking with a Charging Griffin or not? And he is going to attack for 3. So Liao's going to go down to 13, and Rose is going to pass the turn back. So let's see what Liao can find with his basically mono red deck. He draws a mountain for the turn and still has that Seismic Stomp in his hand, but again, not all that great.
I think you just fire it off here. It's never going to get better.
Yeah, just push through some more damage.
Get that. Well, incidentally, you fire it off here. The Archaeomancer can't block.
Yep.
Kyle Rose is then forced to. He's on board. We have 6 damage, right? 3 from Barrage Expendables throwing all our guys. 3 from the Pitchburn Devils.
Okay.
He's forced to run that Pay No Heat out there this turn to just gain life on the attack. Otherwise, he's dead, because if you shove with all 3 guys after Seismic Stomping, he can only block 1 and takes 2 from the Elementals.
Okay. So this basically forces his hand to cast Pay No Heed.
Yes.
Okay. You see Liao is considering casting Seismic Stomp just as you addressed right now. Trying to figure out what happens if he does cast this card.
Yeah. So what's likely to happen is that he'll attack. Kyle will pay no heed the Pitchburn Devils, and one of the elemental tokens will get blocked and thrown at Kyle's face.
Okay. So, green light's on. Seismosnap's going to resolve. Archaeomancer cannot block. So let's see where Rose wants to line up this Charging Griffin.
Yeah. Though it's worth noting that doing this turn lets Kyle Rose attack with the 2 Griffins and the Archaeomancer on the swing back and put Albert at dead on board.
Yep.
So I think this puts you in a situation where you have 1 turn to draw a creature that costs 4 or less. And I feel like that's the best you're going to get out of this situation. You agree?
I do agree with you, yeah. You see the block on the elemental token right here, so as you said, that's going to go upstairs.
Okay.
And the other damage is going to resolve now.
Okay.
So the thing with the Pain No Heat is that it can actually, because it says prevent a source of damage, it can actually prevent the 3 damage from the Pitchburn Devils going upstairs.
Is that
awesome? 3 damage a source, yeah. So, you know, the 3 damage that Pitchburn Devils is going to do via attacking is going to happen, but Pain No Heat can actually make it so that the source is the Pitchburn Devils effect when it's being sacrificed, the 3 damage is going there, so you can actually Pain No Heat that.
Okay.
So I think that's what Kyle's next Pain No Heat is actually going to be for.
Yeah. Though if he does that, he has to leave the mana for the rest of the game.
Correct.
Which isn't very long, but...
Because right now he's at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically daring Liao to sacrifice his Pitchburn Devils, which he won't do.
Right.
So Rose is going to draw a card. Go ahead.
I think Liao is basically required to sack both of those creatures on this end step. It looked like he had another land in his hand, so he's basically drawing to probably at 40% to win.
Rose attacks with both of his flyers, puts Liao down to 7. Liao, as you said, is going to be facing lethal. He draws his card. It's a mountain to go along with another mountain, and Rose at 3 life with a Pain No Heat in his hand.
Yeah, that was not what he was looking for.
No.
He can stay alive at this point, but not for very long.
No, I mean, he's facing down a lethal attack on the following turn. Now, he's not dead just yet. Because as you mentioned, he can do some sacrificing fun effects, you know. Sacrifice the Pitchburn Devils. A Barrage of the Expendables is the source of damage for its triggers. And then the Pitchburn Devils is its source of damage for the 3 damage triggers. So you can sacrifice the Pitchburn Devils, shoot the 3 damage toward Rhodes to force him to use the Pain No Heat there, and then the Barrage trigger can maybe target one of the Charging Griffins and then sacrifice the Elemental to kill a Charging Griffin. He would take Wood Liao 3, 4, 5, 6. That would actually be 7.
Yeah.
So he's going to start by attacking here, which I like.
Yes. I don't know if I like this attack with the Elemental token.
I don't think I like the attack with the Elemental token either. So Rose is going to block like this. Messenger Drake in front of the Elemental. Archaeomancer in front of the Pitchburn Devils. And again, the initiative is on Liao to come up with a plan here.
Let's see. If he manages to survive this turn, with Kyle Rose at 3 life, we're drawing to Volcanic Geyser and Lava Axe.
All right, so some live draws. He needs to come out of this turn alive.
Yeah.
So there's a sacrifice that's going to target the Charging Griffin. Damage going to resolve. There goes the Archaeomancer. So Pitchburn Devils eats that.
Now I think if you're Albert, you just shoot down the other Griffin, and then shoot down the other one with the Pitchburn Devils.
Shoot down the Griffin. You just want to shoot down both Griffins, try to extend the game?
Yeah.
So if you do that, then it's not, Kyle's not going to cast Pain No Heat, is the problem. So like he shoots this, and I think his Pitchburn Devil's activation has to go upstairs.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to force him to cast Pain No Heat, because if you don't, then your lightning or your lava axe and your volcanic geyser are off. Yeah. So Pain No Heat's going to happen. That's going to die. Rose is going to stay alive. He's going to pass the turn back. So Liao is going to get another draw step. I think you have to play a land here. I don't think there's any reason not to.
No, there's not. You definitely want to, because
like in this situation, you're not bluffing anything, and that you might need a land and then an additional land the next turn for whatever reason.
But there won't necessarily. There's a water server coming down. I was just trying to think of the math on drawing bounty. Looks like Goblin Shortcutter
Yep.
is not going to cut it.
Shortcutter is the draw, and after Liao shuffles his hand around for a moment here, it's not a Lava Axe, it's not a Volcanic Eye, so he's going to concede the game. So Kyle Rose is going to win game number 1 of this best of 9 rodeo.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut over to another match for you guys in just a moment here. We do see the Cowley brothers battling. We'll see which one of those guys we're going to cut to in just a moment. Of course, playing against Matthew Murray and David Visco. Pretty close first game there that we got to watch. Pretty close. So looks like we're going to cut to the Murray-Cowley match. We'll get our life totals updated and all that good stuff.
Let's see. So on that back table of Murray Cowley, we have blue-black versus mono, or near mono-black, splashing blue. Again, a bit of a mirror. Looks like Elixir of Immortality is seeing some play today. It's in this kind of mirror match. That's actually pretty awesome. All you have to do is, going late. This gives you virtual card advantage in a matchup that's not necessarily going to end early at all. And with the Bog Brew Witch, this lets him continuously recycle his Festering Newts.
Ooh, I actually like that.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. All right, so here's a Trained Condor. From Murray.
Bruce Cowley is, he has a Cauldron, though. He does have the Cauldron, he does have the Witch. He's shuffling back his Festering Newts. So, he's actually in a pretty reasonable situation to fight his way out of this.
Yeah. The Witch is, the Witch is so very good.
Yeah.
Now, and the other thing to keep in mind, too, is that when you sacrifice the Festering Newt when you sacrifice the Festering Newt to the Cauldron, it domes you for 4, too.
Yeah.
So it's actually, providing reach as well. So he's going to shoot down the Death Gaze Cockatrice. He's going to gain 4 and hit Murray for 4.
Yeah. We watched this a lot yesterday with Owen Turtenwald's deck, and he would often just look really behind and then activate the Witch, then activate it again, and all of a sudden his opponent would just be dead out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He'd be life totals would be like 18-5, and all of a sudden Owen would be at 14 life, and his opponent would be facing down, 7 damage and a gnawing zombie.
And Cowley has access to those cards as well, so he does have the Bog Brew Witch, Festering Newt, Bubbling Cauldron combo.
And Elixir.
And Elixir to recycle it also. Wow, not the kind of deck that I would ever draft or play. I kind of like it.
He has Diabolic Tutor, too,
okay.
to search up the
And
Elixir or the
tie
Witch.
the room together?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a nice one.
The only thing he's missing is Reed Duke's Ring of 3 Wishes. That's about it.
Yeah. What do you wish for? I just want newts, man.
Yeah,
I'll just wish for newts.
All the newts. I want to recycle the newts now.
Yeah.
And so Cowley is going to just pass the turn back.
It's like... Let's see, we're going to see Bog Brew Witch get Festering Newt.
So here's going to be a block. There's going to be an activation. A lot of Archaeomancers there from Murray, but we knew that he had a ton of those in his deck.
Is he blocking?
Yeah, so it looks like he's blocking with Bog Brew Witch. He's going to activate this, get the Newt, and probably sacrifice to kill something, it looks like.
He might just think that he's not going to get to the Elixir in time to make the Witch in play worth it.
Sure. So he's going to take care of the Trained Condor. We're going to see another gain 4, drain 4. So Murray's going to go down to 5. Cowley's going to end up taking 2 damage from that attack. One from each Archaeomancer. Looks like Divination was the draw from Cowley that turn. Yep. 1 and 2. He finds an island and the Elixir of Immortality.
Oh my gosh.
So he's going to play that. He's going to be able to shuffle everything in, and Matthew Murray is going to concede the game. So Bruce Cowley, with a super innovative deck, is going to win game number 1 in his match. And the Cowley brothers and Kyle Rose are all up 1 right now in this best of 9 match.
Yeah. Blocking with the Witch there might have... a pretty marginal risk, but I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when you're against a blue-black deck.
Yeah, there isn't really a dead weight or a disfigure in this format.
Yeah, I mean, the best there is Ring Flesh, and you have a pretty good idea of how many of those you pass in the draft. And looking at, just watching from Kyle Rose's seat, there weren't very many of those, or we may not have seen one get passed through.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut over to David Visco versus Stephen Cowley.
Ooh. This is a pretty big board state.
Yeah, so we come to a board state of Stephen Cowley here with a Megantic Sliver, a Predatory Sliver, an Elvish Mystic, a Deadly Recluse, a Sapling Token, and a Spore Mound with a whole bunch of lands in play. And you see David Visco's side, he has a Root Walla and a Wall of Swords among his lands. He also has a Verdant Haven on one of his lands right now too. So Cowley in a good board position right now, sitting at 20 life versus Visco's 14.
It looks like that's an indestructibility on that Root Walla, kind of holding the fort, hoping that it can stand up to this 7/7 sliver.
Yeah, among other things that are out there.
Yeah. I mean, even if he stops that, he's got the 5/5 to deal with, right? The Predatory Sliver?
Yeah.
Gigantic Sliver is big game, as they say.
And we can't ignore the other things that are even on the table right now too. So, and it also depends on what's on each player's hand and how difficult things are going to be here. As you do see indestructibility on the Root Wall card, actually has some pretty insane flavor text.
Flavor text?
Yeah.
Never read that.
The flavor text indestructibility? By all means, keep trying.
I like that.
I like it a lot. So, you see a Trollhide going to be cast on the Spore Mound. Everybody's coming in the red zone except for the Elvish Mystic. So it looks like he can try to regenerate here. Mm-hmm. Here are some blocks from David Visco. Again, Visco is all tapped out. So Cowley is working with pretty good information on how he should go about attacking here.
So it looks like we're going to get in 5, 6, 7 damage. Dropping David to 7. I think that you could have attacked with the Mystic there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it looks like he was trying to represent a Trollhide regeneration. Also, he could have some sort of trick that we can't see in his hand. See, Visco has a Brindlebore and an Enlarge in his hand, but he is in some serious trouble right now. Brindlebore will be able to gain him 4 life, but you can see that he just has to pass the turn back. He does have the ability to have a Root Wall activation on this combat, though.
Yeah, did not have the Voracious Worm for the Mondo combo.
Yeah. So Steven's going to draw a card.
Another Deadly Recluse. He's, everything he has is on the board. It's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
All on the board.
I mean, all of his draws are pretty good right now, too. If he draws a land, he can put it into play and make a 1/1 Sapling with Spore Mound. If he doesn't, he's going to draw a spell, and most likely all of his spells are going to help him in this situation. So he's just going to draw his Deadly Recluse and attack with everybody.
Visco kind of going through his options. One thing worth noting is he can, let's see, he's at 7. If he puts the Root Walla and the Swalla Swords on the Megantic Sliver and puts the Brindlebore on the Predatory Sliver, he can gain 4 life, take 8, drop to 3, and take down the Megantic Sliver. He opts not to do that, however, and instead is just going to take 8 down to 3.
And so Cowley's just going to play a Deadly Recluse and pass the turn back, and he's basically just... Cowley's in this situation where it's, for Visco, it's Planar Cleansing or bust. And I'm sure while they were discussing the decks that were being built, the Cowley brothers and Rose asked each other, did you guys pass the Planar Cleansing or any bomb rares that we should know about? And I'm sure the answer was no.
Even if he does have Planar Cleansing, it's a matchup of Root Walla versus Spore Mound in the aftermath because of regeneration.
Yep. So, Stephen Cowley is going to win the game. He's going to win the match. So his team has 1 of 5. As we will probably cut over to Kyle Rose's match now. What Stephen Cowley is done for this round, and now he can help his teammates out, as can David Visco. So again, we see that Rose is up 1 over Liao. We cut into a game where, we do see Liao with a couple red creatures out there. We see a couple white things out there for Rose. We'll see where the life totals and the board position is going to line up here.
Ooh, there's the Mythic Rare. Primeval Bounty.
Okay.
It's, so whenever he plays a creature, he gets a beast. Whenever he plays a spell, he gets 3+1 counters on a guy. And whenever he plays a land, he gains 3 life.
Alright, so this card's awesome.
So,
this card is awesome, wow.
Yeah, my issue with it is that it's it's not a creature on its own. Like, it supplies a creature if you have a creature.
Yep.
So there's a lot of situations you draw it in the late game, you're like, I'll just cast it, and then, you know, if I drew a creature in the late game, it would be good anyways, right?
I mean, for the most part, I mean, the frustrating part, right, is where it's a 6-mana card that doesn't affect the board at all.
Yeah,
you know,
not
you can't play it.
immediately.
You can't play it on turn 7 where you go, you know, Primeval Bounty, play a land, gain 3 life. That's the thing that can't happen. But this is a 6-mana card that doesn't have an effect on the board right away.
It looks like his follow-up, that Primeval Bounty, may have been land 1-drop, make it 3/3, which is awesome.
That's a pretty good follow-up.
The 1-drop was also a Blur Sliver that first strikes, or a striking sliver that first strikes out both of his Blur Slivers.
Pretty good turn.
Yeah.
Pretty good turn. See Striking Sliver on the screen. So Liao looks like he's doing pretty darn good this game. As Rose, all he has right now is a Wall of Swords and a Charging Griffin. He's going to play an Ajani's Chosen, which in his deck is mostly just a 3/3. He's going to get in with the Charging Sliver and just pass the turn back. Now the nice thing here for Rose is that a 3/5 and a 3/3 are actually quite good against what Liao has in play.
Now, Liao does have the Academy Raiders pecking away.
Uh-huh.
That is discard then draw, similar to Rummaging Goblin.
Yep.
But I have to say, I feel like that's going to be something that really takes this game away with Primeval Bounty. He can keep playing the creature every turn, usually seeing 2 cards a turn most likely. And as a result of that, he can just start flooding the board with 3/3s. If he ever draws a non-creature spell, that's suddenly a 4/4 Intimidate.
Yeah.
So that Academy Raiders is really going to seal this one up.
And that's where he's going to start. Academy Raider's going to come on in, deal a damage. And he did draw a land for the turn. I think that's the easy discard.
Yeah.
So he's going to discard a land. He's going to draw a card. Other card in his hand right now is Pitchburn Devils. And he's going to draw a Chandra's Outrage. Wow.
Worth noting, it looks like that's a sensory deprivation on that Blur Sliver over
Yes,
there.
it is.
And if I remember correctly, that's the only enchantment in Kyle Rose's
Yep.
deck. So this Ajani's Chosen is the world's loneliest hill giant.
Yeah, it is a difficult to cast 3/3.
So Albert Liao going to drop to 17 on this attack. Kyle Rose tapping for an Air Servant. That's likely to die, and we're likely to see Albert Liao to become the person with the 4-power evasive creature.
So there's your Chandra's Outrage. The counter is going to go right onto the Academy, the Academy Raider, and Rose is
we're
going
just
to,
done here.
he's going to pack it up. He knows that he's super far behind. He's going to actually grab and read the Primeval Bounty, saying, okay, this card's completely absurd if it gets in play. I got to make sure you don't get the chance to do that in the next game.
The +1/+1 counter trigger is probably the best, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, situation dependent. You know, the fun thing you can actually do with that is because it's when you cast a non-creature spell, you can actually, you know, maybe blow them out with an instant. In combat, make your guy a little bit bigger. You know, you saw the end step there, Chandra's Outrage, going to get the counters as an instant. So there's some fun things that you can probably do with that and situations that you can manipulate. But at the end of the day, if that thing's in play and you get to untap in a stable board, you're probably going to win.
Yeah. All your spells are just the world's best Giant Crows?
Yeah, you're probably going to win the game. And, you know, this is something that might harken back to what happened to Rose when he was drafting. Late in Pack 3, he ended up passing a Solemn Offering for something else. I don't remember quite what, but Solemn Offering, again, because of how aura-laden this format is, quite a good card. And then there are also bombs like a Primeval Bounty. As we cut into Bruce Cowley versus Matthew Murray, Cowley has his Brogbrew Witch. He's going to go a searching. As you see, Murray has 2 Trained Condors and a Scroll Thief. He's off to a pretty good start, but I think we might go see a little bubbling. Whew.
Yeah, the Trained Condor Scroll Thief combo really coming out here.
It's a good combo.
It is.
But the 1-card combo of the Witch might be a better combo.
Possibly.
Because this card does it by itself.
Cowley untaps.
Okay, no removal spell, nothing to get that Brogbrew Witch off of the board.
Do you draw a Liturgy of Blood? Oh boy.
This is getting ugly fast.
Plays the land, so he has the activation of the Cauldron, even if his Liturgy gets countered. If he wants to cast it, he can just really take over this board right here.
And he already has a Newt in play too, so he has the Mondo combo in play. All 3 are out there.
Yeah.
You see, he's going to consult his brother on what to do this turn.
not even required to use this this liturgy. He might not even.
Yeah, he really isn't. I mean, the cards that are in play for Murray right now, 2 Train Condors and Scroll Thief, like those cards are all fine, but you know, you might want to save the liturgy for something bigger that he feels might be coming.
Yeah.
You know, if there's something that he is scared of.
I guess his other question. I guess if he uses the liturgy, he can use the mana to brew up another newt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad mana sink. Brew up another newt, sack a newt that's in play.
So here's liturgy. It's going to take down the Scroll Thief, which might be the one card that is keeping Murray in this game. So the 3 mana that's given from liturgy, he's going to use 2 of that to go searching with the Bogbrew Witch.
I saw Blightcaster in Bruce's deck. I just want to go through his list and sort of think about what auras he has to cast. 3 Quag Sickness. He's got a lot of solid sensory deprivation.
Yeah, he's got a really, really nice blue-black deck.
Yeah, really high on synergy here. Newt gonna attack. Murray opted not to block. I feel like I was blocking.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get full valued, right?
Well, if you lose both of your creatures to the Newt, is that better or worse than the Newt just killing one of them and draining you for 4?
Yeah.
Like,
and gaining in 4 life.
Yeah, it's a question of whether this Train Condor is more relevant than Soul Feast.
Yeah.
Which it might be worth more, but it's really hard to say. So Bruce going to gain 2 life on this attack. Killing a Condor with the Cauldron. Murray getting back a Grim Return.
So Cowley's going to untap in the driver's seat right now. Draws a duress for the turn.
Wants to take out that Grim Return. He can.
And information is certainly key here. So now he knows what he needs to work around. Because one of the cards that's going to be revealed now is an Essence Scatter.
Ooh.
You see another Archaeomancer there as well. So now he's working with very, very good information. Duress is going to be pretty important here, I think. Yeah, he's actually going to take the Essence Scatter.
He has the tutor too, in hand.
Yeah, the tutor for the elixir.
Oh yeah.
See Grim Return on the screen. 3 mana instant. Choose target creature card in a graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn. Put that card on the battlefield under your control. So a kind of unique reanimation spell, as it were.
Reminiscent of Ashen Powder almost.
Yeah.
Or something similar. You can take your opponent's creatures. This is like a very big aspect of this card. It looks like what Matt's trying to do here. You know, multiple Doom Blades, multiple Liturgy of Bloods. Again, that's the perfect combo. 3 mana, take your guy.
Yep.
Let's build your own mind control.
So now, Sea Sky is going to come down in response to your Archaeomancer targeting Essence Scatter. The Newt's going to take down the Train Condor, and Murray is going to end up taking 4 from this. Cowley's going to gain 4, and Murray is left with just 2 kind of lonely 1/2 Archaeomancers.
Yeah, Bogbrew Witch and Sea Sky blocked us for days. Ooh.
And again, he does Cowley a Diabolic Tutor in his hand. Gonna come across with the Sea Kite. Gonna put Murray down to 7. You see him reaching for mana, 4 of it. And it is gonna be Diabolic Tutor.
This is too awesome.
Yeah, I'm falling in love on camera right now.
Elixir of Immortality. The last couple of courses, the card's gotten good action. It was, if I remember correctly, it won the last course at Grand Prix Worcester. It was one of the key cards in Brian DeMars' deck on the way to victory. We're seeing it here in M14, a little different, not trying to beat Sands Delirium or with it or gain value, just looping some newts.
Yeah, looping some newts is, yeah.
And Murray's actually just represented by the Bogbrew Witch in 2 turns, just dead.
Yeah, it's just dead because, again, the Elixir is going to cycle back in. The crazy thing is it's going to cycle back in. Not only is it going to cycle back in the Newts, it's going to cycle back in the Diabolic Tutor as well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Murray looks at his top card, and he's going to concede the game. So Bruce Cowley is going to win his match 2-0. You see on the bottom, Albert Liao defeated Kyle Rose 2-1. So the Cowley brothers get the job done. Rose loses his match, and so the team of Cowley Rose will be up 2-1 against Murray, Visco, and Liao. As we're going to readjust things, we'll figure out who they're going to play, because of course they have to switch and do the little do-si-do here.
I'm guessing that Murray's team will stand up and move down the scene. As always, whoever loses the most matches has to move.
That's true. Or you could be like me and just never move.
Make your teammates move around you?
Always. I'm a horrible teammate to have, to be fair. I just don't like moving at all. We're going to bring it back to the booth here for you guys because, you know, as the players are going to get set up here, you know, go over these decks a little bit more. Bruce Cowley's deck on first glance was, I thought it'd be pretty good because, you know, he was like, he has 13 swamps, 4 islands, he's black based, you know, he has a Blightcaster, he has a Child of Night, Bog Brew Witch, what have you. Didn't realize that he had 2 newts to go along with his Bubbling Cauldron, a Diabolic Tutor and Elixir Immortality to actually have the hyper combo finish of just recycling it over the course of an entire game. And assuming that he can get everything online the way that he wants to, that's like basically unbeatable.
Yeah, you know, you're out once he does it the first time. Is that I hope the edict or the tutor is here, the elixir's here, and he has all lands on top of it.
Yeah. The rest of the deck is here. Yeah. That's how it kind of feels because both of those games, he took a little bit of damage and you know was in single digits at some point, but then he just like took control and you know I don't think that Matthew Murray's deck had anything to draw to really get out of that situation.
No. The short answer is no.
Yeah, just recycling everything. So, you know, Bruce Cowley is going to have to play against maybe a more aggressive deck from Liao because he's mono red and some stuff like that. But it's going to be pretty tough, I think, to beat this deck.
Yeah, David Visco does have you know, some Brindle Force to keep his life at an acceptable life total. Okay. Maybe, you know, get into that scenario where let's hope he doesn't draw the tutor or the elixir fast enough for me to lose.
Yeah, I think that's like a pretty real thing. Also, you know, David Visco's deck, it does have a better endgame. It does have Devout Invocation. It does have Howl the Night Pack. He can actually gum up the board a little bit so that the new can't just go picking off things like it was against a blue-black deck. That can't gum up the board and has cards like a Chaomancer that don't really have a huge effect on the board either.
Right.
So,
and Invocation is definitely a card that, you know, you create. You gain 4 life, I'll attack for, you know, 16. That can definitely win the race.
I mean, taking a look at the other deck here, Stephen Cowley was able to win his match. Again, the 10-4-7 Swamp deck, we saw with him that he had some slivers in the form of Megantic Sliver and Predatory Sliver. He also has Siphon Sliver as well. But he's mostly just a green-black good card deck. There's not really a ton of interaction here. He does have 3 copies of Deadly Recluse. Kind of fun to see that he has actually 2 Advocated Beasts in his sideboard. Just deciding not to play it, even though he does have a Rumbling Bailoff, just opting against playing the 2/3 for 3 mana. Along with an Elvish Mystic, a Giant Spider, Ground Shaker Sliver, another sliver that he does have. He also has a Howl the Night Pack as well. Has a Hunt the Weak as a removal spell. And his black cards again are 2 Blood Baron, 1 copy of Corpse Hauler, a Doomblade, a Mind Rot, a Siphon Sliver, and a Tenacious Dead. So mostly just a green-black good card deck here.
Yeah. He's got some good Blood Baron interactions we'll talk about if we see it in a match. But.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing to look for. And then, of course, we saw Kyle Rose's deck being the blue-white deck. We watched him draft over his shoulder a little bit earlier this morning. Oddly enough, I think he might have the worst deck of the 3 on his team.
Easily.
Yeah, cause I think that looking over this deck, I think Bruce Cowley has the best deck by like a healthy margin.
Of the table.
Yeah, of the table. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think Stephen Cowley has a pretty good deck. And I don't think that Kyle Rose's deck is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that the Cowley brothers have the better decks on the team. So there's that.
We've got something,
a little trivia brewing?
Yeah.
A little trivia brewing? It's about that time. As you guys can probably hear the announcements of our Standard Open. We're doing our players meeting right now. 402 players. Gonna have a lot of rounds today. But we take a look at trivia. Again, for trivia for you guys, I'm gonna ask you a question. Hashtag your answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. 12 months will be the giveaway this time. And again, it's not accuracy, not speed. So we will announce the winner of the premium after this round is over and after we do Crown a Champion. So the question here is admittedly an easy one, but I love this card now, so I'm just going to ask a question about it. There are 3 pieces to the Bog Brew Witch Festering Newt combo. If you can name the 3rd piece, which is an artifact of the Bog Brew Witch Festering Newt combo, tweet your answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium, and again, we will select one winner of the people who do get it correct after the finals is over. Yeah. So it's easy.
Yeah.
It's really easy. And I also think that the card is just gone, shot up for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like you, I was comparing it to the
Your main
Oh my
deck
goodness.
must
Skull
be
Cauldron
60
from-
Yeah,
or
like
more
Skull Cauldron or
cards.
Storm Cauldron or something like that.
At all
From
times,
yeah.
from Dissension.
your
Chris
side
Fennell
board
would be
must
mad at me
15
right now for not knowing the
cards
name of this
or
card
fewer
because
at
he
all
beat me with it in a
times.
team draft by discarding a Fireman Angel, and he
Legends
never
and
lets it go.
Planeswalkers
That he
now
just absolutely
only
murdered
count
me with
your
this
side
card
of the table
in a
if you
team
get to
draft.
keep
But
one of
yeah,
them.
that card that lets you discard and gain life,
Indestructible
very
is now
similar
a keyword,
to the
which may
trivia
interact with
answer.
things that make
It was okay in that
creatures
format,
lose
certainly
their
not bad,
abilities.
but the trivia answer here is
And you
this card was
always
fantastic.
have the right to an
Yeah,
appeal.
it's
absolutely
If
fantastic.
a judge gives
You
you a
know,
ruling
the
that
first
you
like
do
5
not
times I read
believe
it,
is
I was
correct,
like, oh, it's just one life
that
for
happens,
activation. Then
I
someone's
will
like,
come see you, and we will make
you
sure
know,
that
that's
the
more than
correct
that.
ruling
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
is
reading it, I'm like, really?
Lastly,
4 life is a lot.
Please watch
It
your
is.
stuff.
That is a lot
There are
of
a lot
life.
of new
Yeah.
cards.
So,
People are excited about
yeah, if you can
them.
name the
I'm
answer to that
sure
trivia
there are
question,
new
which at
scavenged
this point, if you
oozes
can,
walking
just
around
Google
the
it or
game
something.
today.
Come on.
I don't want any of them to walk away with your card.
Hashtag SCG Premium, and again, we will announce the winner after this round is over.
With that,
After we do
judges,
crown a
please
champion and do our
select
winners
deck
interviews.
list.
So, one thing that we've been highlighting the Cowley brothers and Rose quite a bit. They're the big name team here, but you know the team of Murray, Liao, and Visco. They're not going to lose by. I mean, it's not over any stretch of the imagination. We're going to cut back to the match for you guys because the players look like they're ready to go. But I mean, what can they do to get themselves back into this?
So if I call for your name,
I think that their decks are probably worse overall. It doesn't mean they can't win, but they need to a little bit of creative strategy, I think, to get back into this match.
Liao.
Right. So in the Murray versus Rose matchup, I think that's gonna mostly come down to the fact that Murray's gonna have to press his advantage of these essence scatters against the really heavy 4-drop deck of Calrose.
Okay.
John Hurry.
And
John
these trained
Hurry.
condors aren't especially impressive in this matchup. I feel like there's a lot of flying blockers on Rose's side.
John Hurry.
So that's one of the shifts they're gonna have to make is
Going twice.
potentially
Not respond,
move
John
those
Hurry
out of
will
the
not
deck,
be
move towards
one of
Mind
his
Rot.
tournaments.
Mind Rot sounds pretty
Okay,
awesome in the blue
John
mirror.
Hurry.
Some things like that. Moving down the line, I don't know what's going to save him in the Bruce Cowley matchup. Honestly, I think that we're hoping for the 5-4 victory.
Yeah, I think the Bruce Cowley 3-0 might be a thing that happens here. As you see, Rose does have an angelic wall. Murray has an island and a swamp. He's going to pass the turn back. So
Going twice.
we'll see another angelic wall. Does he have a third land? Oh boy, he does not. So here's a swamp, and let's see if there's a big follow-up. See an Archaeomancer,
And finally,
and he's just going to time that angelic wall back to the top. So
Calrose did miss a land drop, so
Yeah.
it is the complete time walk. And angelic walls are not great against a 2/2 flying death player.
twice. William Weaver.
well, Rose does peel a third land. He's going to play Griffin Sentinel. Not good against the
Yeah.
Death Gates Cockatrice either. So looks like Murray's going to be able to get into the red zone first.
Looks like Murray also has a Doomblade and the Grim Return in hand. So he effectively has a mind control, ready to just fire off whenever he wants. Likely waiting for an air surge.
Yeah, he's got to find something good to take.
The tournament roster. Pairings will go up
So
shortly.
Matthew Murray down to 19 after an attack with the Sentinel. His attack with the Cockatrice brings Kyle Rose down to 18.
Approach the board.
Looks like Kyle's just going to play one of his several charging Griffins. Essence Scatter.
We're just going to pass the turn. Okay. So Murray's going to draw a card, start by attacking for 2 yet again with the Cockatrice.
He's missing the second blue for his Archaeomancer, it looks like.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit frustrating. In for 1 goes Rose. Going to knock Murray down to 18. Does have lands now, does Rose. He's going to tap 4 mana again. He's going to play a Wall of Swords. You see another Essence Scatter in Murray's hand.
I believe that that's what you want to target with that, especially with the Doomblade. You know, it's not a card you want to set up the control magic combo on. You don't really want the Wall of Swords on your side of the board. So using the Essence Scatter here on it, you're going to have to kill it somehow.
Yeah. So an attack here for 2 from Matthew Murray. Going to pass the turn back. Does have a Disperse in his hand. You also see a Mark of the Vampire over there as well. Rose going to get in for 1 here with the Sentinel yet again. Going to put Murray down to 17. There's an island, and here is a Water Servant.
That's a respectable card to take.
I agree. We might see the combo here now. You see Rose just kind of shrugging his shoulders saying, I can't do anything. I got a Plains open. There is the Doomblade, and now here is the Grim Return. So Water Servant is coming on over.
Yeah, they no longer print Mind Control at Uncommon, but you can work hard to make your own.
Thank goodness they no longer print it at uncommon.
Okay, so Matthew Murray comes in with both creatures, uses his blue mana to pump the Water Servant over the Angelic Wall.
Yep. So Rose going to draw an island, going to tap 2 mana here. Disperse, give him my Water Servant back.
It's really a pretty good play there.
Yeah. Going to recast it and get in for 1. So Murray going to go down to 16, Rose at 12. Going to untap, going to draw. Will Murray, Swamp comes directly into play. This is a Mark of the Vampire. He's going to come across for 4 lifelink death touch damage. So he's going to go up to 20 as Murray. Rose is going to go down to 8. So Rose is going to untap. He's going to draw. You see the Disperse there in Matthew Murray's hand as well.
Looks like his other cards are some double blue spells that he's unable to cast.
Yeah, they're Archaeomancer and Messenger Drake over there. You see Rose coming in with the Water Servant and the Sentinel, figuring out how much he wants to pump. He's going to make it a triple pump, and we're going to see a Disperse to bounce that and be a makeshift Time Walk here. Murray going to go down to 19, but certainly ahead right now outside of not having an island, which he did not draw yet again.
Your
Going to come
round
across for
1
4.
pairings are
Makeshift
now
Dragon gets
closed.
on in, gets chump blocked. Murray up to 23, Cal Rose at 8. You see a hand of Archaeomancer, Phantom Warrior, Messenger Drake.
Got to be a touch frustrating.
Yeah, but if at any point he draws that island, he immediately can Archaeomancer back to Doomblade,
Yeah.
which should be enough to take this game.
Yeah, and he's certainly he'll be doing just fine if he's able to do that. As Rose looks like he just has another Water Servant. So not only does Murray not have the other blue mana, but he's still doing just fine. If he does draw the blue mana, it's going to be very difficult for him to lose, and he does draw it. And he also has, as you said, a makeshift dragon in play, this Death Gaze Cockatrice with a Mark of the Vampire on it, which Rose is unable to answer right now. So Murray is going to come out here with an Archaeomancer. See him slide the 3 swamps across, going to grab himself a Grim Return?
For the loop.
Okay. I'm a little bit surprised to see him grab that instead of a Doomblade.
Well, you see, I don't know if he necessarily wants to Doomblade the Sentinel,
Okay.
or the Water Servant actually gets locked down by this. He blocks the Archaeomancer, Grim returns the Archaeomancer, gets
Gets
back
the
the
Grim
Grim
Return.
return.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yep, and Rose realizes that he can't even attack. So Murray's going to draw a card. He draws a Nightwing Shade. Rose has to block. And I think it's perfectly fine for him to cast Nightwing Shade if he wants to. It looks like he just passed the turn back, not going to expose himself anymore. As Rose is going to draw a card, looks like he draws another land, is going to concede the game. So Matthew Murray is going to win game number 1 here over Kyle Rose, as a team of Visco, Liao, and Murray, while they are down 2 matches to 1, trying to make a comeback here.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we had one of these, didn't we see a 0-3 comeback?
Yes. Yes, we did. Turnwall Jensen and Duke were down 0-3 to Skarin, Nezin, and Demestrio, and came all the way back to win it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I definitely seen team drafts where it's, well, we have to win all of the rest of them.
Hey, whatever it takes. That's what I say. Whatever it takes. So we're going to cut over to one of the Cowley brothers, of course. Personal preference, I like to see the bubbling cauldron in action, but, we'll see where we go. All right. We will be going to, oh, look, he does have bubbling cauldron in play and a Bogproof Witch.
I'm shocked.
Oh, my God. Oh, well,
Whoa.
Well, hold on just a minute.
Oh, my gosh.
Because what we walk into while Cowley is searching up a Festering Newt is a ton of Wolf tokens from Hollow the Night Pack and a Devout Invocation for what looks like 7 4/4 angels. And this is the thing that we were scared of, right?
Yeah.
Like, the thing about Matthew Murray's deck against Bruce Cowley is that Matthew Murray has no way to generate a huge advantage. He had a Pyromancers and all these fun things, but none of those things actually mattered against what Bruce Cowley was doing. These cards matter a lot for Visco.
There's a lot of chip shots against the engine, and this is just kind of like 7-drop combo game.
Yeah.
Your combo's cute, my combo's better.
And I'm taking a look at Bruce Cowley's deck list right now, and I don't know what he can do about this.
I don't think
You
you
have
can.
15 minutes to play
With
round
Visco
1.
at 14 life, I don't think there's any way he can erase that. I think it would involve, he could corrupt, and that's 6, and drain, that's 10, and be at 24, and block a single angel and die.
That's so many angels.
Oh, he kills an angel, so he'd live.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to me, he wants to, if he's going to do anything, he's going to Mind Rot here. He wants to corrupt, go upstairs, and put Visco down to like 6 or 8, however much the corrupt would be for, and then, you know, the newt would put him to 4, and then the final newt would kill him. But I don't think he's ever going to get the chance to do that. You see a Mind Rot get cast, and it seems like that Mind Rot aria was more for information than anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, oh, even at a Brindlepore stacked under those wolves, so...
Yeah. You see Visco going to untap all those creatures for the turn, cast a Troll Hide on the wolf token,
Sure.
and I think everyone's going to come into the red zone here, probably.
Yeah, that would be, there's no Aetherize.
Yeah. There's no punishment for his behavior here.
He's not attacking with the sensory deprivation wolf.
A tame wolf. You see Bruce Cowley doing a bunch of math here. Yeah, that's a lot of wolves and a lot of angels, Bruce, and he is going to concede the game. So David Visco is going to win game number 1 against Bruce Cowley, as it looks like we're going to be able to cut over to the other Cowley match.
Was that just an attack for 42 damage?
Some exorbitant amount, yeah. 7 times 4, 28. 7 wolf tokens, it looked like, or some high number of wolf tokens.
Yeah, it was, 7 wolf tokens and a troll hide. Might have been like 44. MBD.
All a day's work. Try to beat that Bubbling Cauldron. It's about the only thing Bubbling Cauldron can't beat, it seems like.
No, we did not see Devout Invocation at all yesterday.
That card's insane. That card is insane.
Absolutely insane.
You can get in some weird situations where like, you just don't have any creatures in play, and then when you draw it, you know, it backfires against you. But those situations are so few and far between, especially in this slow format, and where a lot of the answers, like removal, are auras that leave the things in play, like sensory deprivation and pacifism. That, you know, Divine Invocation is going to be good a lot of the time. As we're going to cut to Stephen Cowley versus Albert Liao. Update this game state for you. We see Cowley attacking with some Spore Mound tokens. All the Spore Mound out there. A Ground Shaker Sliver to go on with Predatory Sliver, and a Blood Baron that has a +1/+1 counter on it. From Hunt the Weak. On Liao's side, you see a couple elemental tokens, a Striking Sliver, and a Barrage of the Expendables. But unfortunately for Liao, Cowley looks like he's at 18. We'll see if those life totals are correct, but it looks like Cowley is at a very high life total. Yeah, and it is 18.
Yeah, this 6/6 trample, you know, you can't chump, you know, Project Expendables, you're playing against a large creature would normally chump, throw a guy at your face.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not possible right now.
No. Not at all.
This looks like Cowley's going to deal 6 damage to Albert, putting him to 14. Laying in hand, just passing.
Liao tapping the top of his deck. Not a Bonfire of the Damned.
He's got a bounty of the... Yeah.
Got a Primeval Bounty?
Or Primeval Bounty,
Yeah.
Confusing it with that one Alliances card. Primeval Bounty, it's good. I don't think it's going to necessarily save him at this point, though.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one card that could potentially do it, it is that one, because it is a very, very good card since it gains so much life, pumps out guys, counters, what have you. But I'm kind of with you that, you know, it might not be enough to save him right now. Because, again, it's this card that when you play it, it doesn't have an effect on the board.
Yeah, you know, his Striking Sliver appears to be in play already. He only has 1 in his main deck. He wouldn't have a 1-drop to follow it up with if he had a land.
Now you see Primeval Bounty get cast. Stephen Cowley going to take a look at it on the screen for you guys to review as well. And I think Liao had passed the turn after that, so he doesn't even have a land to play to gain 3 life after casting it. So a really rough turn there, and you see Cowley tapping that out immediately. He's going to cast a Spore Mound, 2 triggers, going to give him 2 more sapling tokens, so he's going to keep adding to his army, and he's going to turn everybody sideways that he can. Because again, there's just a Striking Sliver and a 1/1 elemental token out there against this army of green monsters.
Well, something steps in front of the Blood Baron.
Yeah, yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there.
So it looks like we're going to first strike down a sapling token, chump the Blood Baron, and take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
Going down to 2.
Yeah.
And Blood Baron has to be blocked every turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's a potential 17 power
100,
Blood Baron.
100 for all intents and purposes. So after Liao does do some blocking, is able to take care of a sapling token and everything else, he just has to pass the turn back. So I don't know what he can do to get himself back into this game as he draws a card. He draws a mountain, so that's going to be +3 life, going to put him up to 5.
I think landing 2 creatures is about what you'd have to have.
Yep. but he is just going to pick it up. So Stephen Cowley is going to win game number 1 on his end, get his team back into this. As again, the Cowley brothers and Rose are up 2 matches to 1, but Visco and Murray are currently ahead in their matches. So maybe we end up at 3-3 after this. I don't know. We'll see.
You get to play a match for all the marbles.
Those are the best kind.
Absolutely.
At least my favorite. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Ari Lax here in the booth. Star City Games Open Series has made it to Richmond, Virginia. If you do want to join in on Twitter with us, feel free at SCG Live, hashtag SCGRICH, for your tweets as we do complete the finals of our Star City Games Team Sealed Open with M14 this morning. But don't forget a Standard Open taking place all the rest of the day. We'll be crowning a new Standard champion, and this is the debut tournament of M14 in Standard. So maybe a little Chandra Pyromancer, maybe a Garrett Caller of the Beasts.
Definitely some Mutavaults.
And hopefully no Glade Cover Scouts or Witch Stalkers. I'm a bit biased in my reporting.
I saw
all the hexproof.
I saw a certain Star City author who's in attendance here, hanging out with some Fiend Hunter Paladin or Fiend Slayer Paladin, some Rancors.
Yeah, so I'm gonna spoil that one because I was blown away. Well, Todd told me about that.
Oh.
I don't know if it was Todd who.
It was Todd.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
battling some 8-mans.
Yeah, Todd told me that. I asked what he was playing. He was playing Junk Aristocrats, and he said he's playing Banned Hexproof and not happy about it. And I'm just like, what do you have, like Witch Stalkers and stuff, or you just green white, whatever? He's like, no, we have Fiend Slayer Paladin. And he's like, you know, Rancor that up, and it's insane. And I'm just like, well, they could. Never mind. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it gives the deck another lifelink creature, and you know the ways that deck would beat red is you see Kyle Rose play a Trained Condor is they relied so heavily on Unflinching Courage.
Right.
And this gives them another lifelinker, and this thing has first strike, so it makes blocking incredibly difficult for them. And I like that.
Yes.
A lot, actually.
Can't be Doombladed.
Yeah. So this might be the card that really does tie everything together for that deck. We'll find out about that later today. As you see, Essence Scatter take care of a Charging Griffin. Now here's a Mind Rot here from Murray, targeting Rose. Rose going to discard 2 cards here. See what he's going to choose. It's like a Time Ab and a Mystery card up near the top.
Murray was down to 5 this game, missed a land drop, but the Mind Rot helped him get back on the card advantage, and he could easily fight his way back in.
Well, Rose looks like he's going to make it pretty hard, because here's an Air Servant. He's going to attack for 2 with a Trained Condor.
Does Murray have the removal spell?
We got Time Ebb.
Okay.
Put Air Servant back on top. We're going to bring Trained Condor up on the screen for you guys. As you see the 2-1 go to battle, Air Servant get played yet again. I wanted to see if there was a way to do the Trained Condor Mondo combo, make their guy fly, maybe shoot it down or something like that, or make their guy fly and then tap with Air Servant, but you can't do that.
The Flavor Police are here. You cannot give your opponent's creature a ride on the Condor.
Come on. It's a friendly Condor.
So Kyle Rose cracking in for 6 with his Air Servant and Condor, playing a Messenger Drake.
What does Murray have here? You see Rose spread his creatures. There's a Disperse.
Ooh. 2 cards in Kyle's hand. Disperse plus Mind Rot takes out Air Servant and whatever card he was holding back.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but there is a Griffin Sentinel off the top. He's going to attack for 5, put Murray down to 3. See if Murray can find anything. He cannot. He's going to concede the game. So Kyle Rose going to even it up here against Matthew Murray. They'll be going to a 3rd and final game as we will cut over to, yet again, one of their Cowley brothers playing against either David Visco or Albert Liao.
Let's see if Angels or Witches prevails.
Jeez.
Yeah, who needs demons? He's got witches.
I think Bruce Cowley, as good as his deck is, I think he might be in a pretty difficult matchup here. And of course, the green-white deck doesn't have any card drawing or manipulation, so, Visco can't find his Howl the Night pack or Devout Invocation as we cut into a game yet again of Bog Brew Witch, Opening Cauldron, Elixir Mortality, and Festering Newt. Couldn't draw it up any better if we wanted to.
Yeah.
He always has his combo online and can search for something, a piece of it with Diabolic Tutor.
I like his little hand motion dance of explaining to his opponent what's going to happen.
Yeah, look at me go. I'm going to keep sacrificing newts and destroy your entire board. Yep, there's a sacrifice going to take care of the Rumbling Bailoff. That thing's not long for this world.
Yeah. 6 life for now, but in a couple turns, life totals are going to be flipped.
Yeah, this elevator's going up for Bruce Cowley. It looks like Visco is playing off the top of his deck right now. And so this is the situation I talked about, too, with Devout Invocation. Something I ran into at the Gunsling at the pre-release at Star City Games is, in the situation that Visco is in game 1, it can be absolutely fantastic. And there are a lot of situations where, of course, there's sensory deprivation or passivism on a guy or what have you. And Devout Invocation is going to shoot out 3 angels. But in a situation like this, Devout Invocation isn't at its best. It's not going to pop out 7 guys like it did last game.
So David Visco has a Dawn Strike Paladin.
Yeah.
2 power, lifelink vigilance that dies to a festering newt.
Yeah, like most things do.
Yeah. And Cowley has the next 3 turns of newting people lined up with that elixir.
Yep. Now that also equates to plus 12 life and minus plus 12 life for Cowley and minus 12 for Visco.
Interesting thought. I may have on my upkeep there sacked the newt, elixired, and tutored again just to maximize my odds of redrawing the elixir, just going crazy.
Yeah. Just Mondo comboing.
Yeah, pretty marginal, but it's you don't really want to pass into a potential pump spell when you're killing the guy with the newt, I feel like, as well. It's another incentive to do it now.
So I have an interesting question for you. Bog Brew Witch. This is just like a windmill slam. First pick.
I don't feel like it's
Corrupt is going to take down that paladin. Because newt's at common, and while the cauldron is an uncommon, how many people want to take the cauldron?
I think pick one, pack one. I might be willing to go for it, but I don't think it's necessarily like if there's an Air Servant, I'm not guaranteeing that I'm taking it.
Yeah, that was the card I was actually going to compare it to. Is if you open Air Servant or Bog Brew Witch, which card are you taking? Are you just taking the Air Servant, which you know is going to be good 100% of the time?
I'm going to take the blue card. I have to figure out what my line is on that. I'd probably take Opportunity's an interesting question. Sarah Angel, Sanger Vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can chime in at home too with your tweets at SCG Live, hashtag SCGRICH, on what you would do if you open a Bog Brew Witch or a Bomb Uncommon, like a Volcanic Geyser, like an Air Servant, like a Sarah Angel, what you would do in that situation. I like theme decks, so I would take a Bog Brew Witch. Because when this thing is working, I mean, this is just, it's almost impossible to beat, man.
Yeah. Visco just has another Voracious Worm, and Bruce Cowley has his Nightwing Shade online, which will finish this very quickly, especially with the Drain Lives.
Yeah. You see an activation here of the Bubbling Cauldron. There's a sacrifice. Bye-bye goes the Voracious Worm. +4, -4 for Cowley and Visco.
Fire off that elixir right now.
Yeah, he can do that. See, and he's reaching, and he is going to activate it. Don't forget that elixir gains 5 life too.
Bruce Cowley was at 6 life 2 turns ago, now at 21.
No big deal.
David Visco was at 20 life, now at 11, facing down, let's see, 8 on board.
Yeah. It's not a great feeling when you have to deal 40 points of damage in a limited game.
No, absolutely not. You did it last game in 1 attack.
That's true. That's true. I guess his deck is capable.
Yeah. Who needs Overall? We just got Angels.
It sure is a humbling feeling to have to deal that much damage, though. Here comes the Nightwing Shade. See how many activations we're going to get out of this. See him reaching for mana right now. I think Visco has 1 card in his hand, but it's not going to stop Cowley from activating twice. Going to be an attack for 4, put Visco down to 7, which is comfortable passing the turn back.
Yeah, interestingly, 7 is 4+4.
Yep.
Yeah, Visco flashes 2 lands and dies to some nuke burn.
So, Bruce Cowley's going to even that matchup as well. Visco and Cowley will be playing a 3rd game. We'll see if we can cut over to the other Cowley brother and Steven versus Albert Liao. See how their game is going. You also see Kyle Rose and Matthew Murray in the middle of their game 3. A pretty important one there for how this match is going to end up. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, Kyle Rose, Stephen Cowley, and Bruce Cowley are up 2-1 over David Visco, Albert Liao, and Matthew Murray. So we cut into Stephen Cowley here, a board update for you. Elvish Mystic, Blood Baron Rootwalla, along with Swamp Forest for Cowley. Albert Liao has 2 elemental tokens, a Pitchburn Devil, and now, I believe, he's casting another Molten Rebirth.
See if he wins the flip.
He does.
Nice.
Yeah, run it back. This is why I want Overrun in this format, man.
That's why you don't get it.
I shouldn't have it. You're probably right, but I want it. You got ways to make tokens.
Finally goes to the graveyard. Was that 2 coin flips in a row he won, probably?
Yeah, probably.
9 mana, 6 tokens, acceptable rate. Looks like we're grabbing that other elemental token from backstock.
Yeah, should have 6 out there, and he does now.
Who expects to have that many? I don't.
We come prepared. Maybe be an elemental token.
No.
No, you don't want to be like Hot Fire?
No.
Like the guys from Iron Man 3? I would love to be the guys from Iron Man 3.
I had a really good one. I'll have to look it back up.
All right.
To remember.
All right, 3 mana. Looks like Cowley's had some mana problems this game too. Here's a Blood Baron. As you see, Liao has 6 lands versus Cowley's 4. He's going to have Elvish Mystico, play Predatory Sliver, pass the turn back. So 2 spells this turn, and Blood Barons are becoming scary.
Yeah, it's a pretty flooded board here. Not really a good way to get through, though. It looks like Liao has a Seismic Stomp in hand, which I bet he boarded in the second one. There's a Marauding Maulhorn.
Yeah.
Bit of a tongue twister there. Coming down, putting him at 14 power on board. And that Seismic Stomp, if that's a Blur Sliver too, that's lethal next turn.
Assuming Cowley has nothing, if he taps out for more Ground Pounders, you see a Megantic Sliver in his hand. I don't know if he has the 6 mana source for that, but yeah, if that's a Blur Sliver and a Seismic Stomp, that's death in 1 turn.
Now the question though is, if you go for that, and Cowley has the Doomblade that you saw game 1, he goes to 5. How much do we take on the swing back?
Yeah, he might die in the swing back, and I don't think he can go for it now.
So, he might be forced to because the Maulhorn's not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
There he is debating whether he pulls the trigger.
Yeah, and I think he's asking his teammates right now, what do you guys think? Talking to David Visco right now, what do you think? Go for it? Play the Blur Sliver, play the Seismic Stomp?
Let's see. How much
It's lethal.
How much do we take on the way back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power, Root Wall of Pumps, 10, 11 on board. So I don't think we're dead. So I'd fire it off.
Yeah, I don't think he's dead. Doesn't enlarge kill him if that's one of the cards in Cowley's hand, or if he top decks one.
Yes, we are. Actually, no, because he can't pump the Root Wall.
Yep, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That would be 16. And he'd have to have a land too, so it'd be around 15.
Land would be. You can always +1 off of the Blood Baron.
Sure.
Sacrificing the Mystic.
So here is the Blur Sliver, and there is the Seismic Stomp. Creature without flying cannot block. Cowley takes a look at his board. No flyers here. And you see him giving pause to this now. Realizing that I think I might be dead unless I have like a Doomblade or something.
Yeah.
Because that resolves.
Team.
Yeah, everybody in the club. And that is going to do it. So, Albert Liao is going to tie up his match with Stephen Cowley as well. So, we're getting to the nitty-gritty here, my friend.
Yeah, they are. No one can be counted out at this point.
No, at no point. I think we're going to be able to cut over the Kyle Rose versus Matthew Murray match. You see Rose got some lands in play. Just plays a land for the turn. See what the board state's going to look like here. See what our life totals are going to be at.
It looks pretty clear, which I'm guessing is a favorite from Murray. It's his relatively controlling deck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Murray has Deathgaze Cockatrice and a Cursed Spirit. Kyle Rose's 1/3 Griffin Sentinel here. He's a bit behind on life, but definitely ahead on board.
Yep.
So I think he's reasonably ahead in this game overall.
Essence Scatter to the draw for Murray here. You also see a Scroll Thief as well, which looks like he's going to cast to start this turn off. He's going to pass the turn back. So Rose is going to untap with the Charging Griffin and a Griffin Sentinel. He draws
Murray's
like
hand.
another land.
Murray's hand looks to be Essence Scatter and Mind Rot, which at this point, he has more spells, but that should be good enough.
Yeah, you think so? I mean, if he can just kind of hold things down with that Deathgaze Cockatrice and get some beats in with that Cursed Spirit, could probably just get the job done.
Kyle Rose boarded in one of the Frost Breaths.
Need to push. Feels like he needs to be able to push through damage.
Yeah.
Depending on how many Deathgaze Cockatrices he's seen from Murray, and he's certainly seen one over the course of these games. You see one in play right now. That card's difficult for Rose's deck to beat because, again, he doesn't have a card like Pacifism. He only has 1 Sensory Deprivation, so might feel the need to have Frost Breath to be able to push things through.
Kyle Rose at 11. Frost Breath would push Murray down to 6. Rose to 8 on the next attack. 2, 5. Dead, but it's not necessarily a removal spell or a blocker in this turn really changes that.
Mm-hmm. So you see Rose is going to tap his mana. He is going to tap these creatures with Frost Breath. Deathgaze Cockatrice, and Scroll Thief. In for 4. Going to knock Murray down to 6. Does he have a follow play? He does not.
Murray draws. Yeah, and even on the direct race, the Cockatrice is going to untap on that last turn too. So Murray, it looks like he might have the... Okay. He can Archaeomancer back the Grim Return if you'd like to. Celestial Flare takes down the Spirit.
5 mana, Lethargy of Blood, going to take down the Charging Griffin, a big Lethargy of Blood there, and a follow-up in the Mind Rot. Discard 2 lands, does Rose. He's going to pass a turn back. So let's see what he can find for his turn.
Looks like he has an Archaeomancer. We're going to see a bit of a grind going on here.
In for 1, going to put Murray down to 5. Again, blue-white, a deck without reach, so he's going to have to do it the honest way.
Murray can just at any point Archaeomancer back that Lethargy of Blood, so he's got an answer back.
Yep.
For, it's a bit slow, he might take a hit, but he has an answer back.
Yep. His Archaeomancers are very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
going to have great targets.
His deck is basically the M13 deck where Archaeomancer really shone and just, it was probably the best blue common in that deck.
Yeah. So let's see what line Kyle Rose is going to come up with here, because he is pretty deep in the tank. Not quite sure what his cards are. They are a mystery, but it looks like he's trying to formulate a game plan, get those last 5 points of damage through. Tapping 4, he's going to play an Archaeomancer. Now he's trying to figure out what to target with it. He's going to take back a Time Ebb. Interesting.
Okay. It's a pretty good one on this board state. So we drew a Nightwing Shade that's getting cast. Both this and the Cockatrice can hold down the Griffin. Calrose doesn't really have any more attacks now, even with the Time Ebb.
You saw him, take a look at his graveyard and really think that play through of, do I want to get back the Time Ebb? Do I want to get back the Frost Breath? Which one's going to give me the best opportunity to win? Chose the Time Ebb.
Looks like he also has a Quicken in his graveyard. He would have been thinking, are my cards just even good enough? Do I want to just cycle and see if I can get out of this?
Yeah. Train Condor and Scroll Thief for the cards that come into play. He's able to play 2 creatures that turn underneath Murray's Essence Scatter. But Murray's going to tap 4 mana. He's going to play Archaeomancer. Let's see what he gets back.
The Doomblade's nowhere in his graveyard right now.
Doesn't look like
it
is. It is in the
Buried
graveyard.
there.
Okay.
Okay. I guess he was just debating whether he wants to set up the Grim Return loop or just Doomblade, but I think you're a bit far behind to try and play for value, especially because your opponent's all 1/3s.
Yeah.
You're not going to really have your Archaeomancer dying anytime soon.
I'm with you there. He's going to Doomblade right now, it looks like. He's going to take down the Train Condor right now, so no flying trigger there. So, Rose is going to untap. He's going to draw a card. Of course, we know about the Time Ebb that's in his hand.
Yeah. So, Murray at 5, 3 1-power creatures in play, versus his board of Archaeomancer, Scroll Thief, Deathgaze Cockatrice, and Nightwing Shade. Even with the Time Ebb, are there any attacks?
It doesn't feel like there's any good ones. I mean,
No.
the 2 flyers are really what's making this incredibly difficult. Just a lot of creatures. This board is just gummed up in both the sky and the ground. He's going to Time Ebb. He's going to put the Cockatrice back up.
Rose is just trying to buy a little more time to find an Air Servant.
I wonder if Rose attacks all out here and can try to maybe get a block. Yeah.
Okay.
So Celestial Flare going to take care of that. I was thinking maybe he would shove all in with his creatures and try to bluff a card like Fortify or something like that. Again, I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, but Celestial Flare does the job just as well. You attack with 1 guy, get the 1 block. Murray's obligated to block there, basically. It's not like the Nightwing Shade is going to attack around Celestial Flare this entire game. I feel like he's pretty far ahead.
So Rose just draws his card last turn, passes the turn back with no attacks. That gives Murray some breathing room at 5 life to untap and draw and play a Phantom Warrior. So let's see if Rose has any action this turn. He's going to take a look at the board and the graveyard now.
Looks like Murray's last card is an Essence Scatter.
Yep.
Which is...
It's a great last card to have in this
it's a good
situation.
one. Yeah. Especially when Kyle Rose is drawing to a creature out of Air Servant.
Mm-hmm. And he is casting just that. And Essence Scatter will take care of it. So, a card that may have been able to win the game for Rose on the spot gets countered via Essence Scatter. And now the Phantom Warrior is going to start going to work on Rose's life total as he's going to draw a card at 9 life, play a Plains, pass it back. Murray draws his card. He's tapping mana. It's a time ebb.
Ooh. This clock is now reduced to a significantly faster one, both because of the extra damage, but also because he effectively took a draw step away from Kyle to draw an out. Kyle at 5, looking at chump blocking his Death Gaze Cockatrice. Train Condor is going to be joining the board for Murray.
Train Condor is huge right now.
Yeah.
Just another flying creature to the table. Rose is going to draw his card, and he's going to concede the game. So Matthew Murray is going to win this match and even it up for his team 2-2, which means we'll at least be playing another 3 matches.
Yeah.
So we'll be going at least to a 3rd round, but we'll see what the score is going to be as we move to that 3rd round. As Kyle Rose is currently 0-2 with his blue-white deck.
Wow. He has to face down against the Devout Invocation deck next round.
That doesn't seem like a lot of fun.
No, it doesn't.
Murray 1-1 right now in the draft for him as we're going to cut over to Visco and Bruce Cowley. We'll see. Now, every time we've walked into a Bruce Cowley situation, we've seen the Mondo combo. And lo and behold, this is... Are you sure that we're not, like, rewinding the tape?
Sure, he just has 1. We're sure,
We're
right?
sure he just has 1.
Are we mulling to Witch? Is this Lost in the Woods style?
In comes the Brindle Boar. There's a SCGRICH to eat that alive. And, I mean, we're looking at the life totals right now. 24 for Cowley. Visco at 22. He has no cards left in his hand. Oh, boy.
Cowley just content to sit here with his Newt and attack with it?
Yeah.
Don't even need to cast Drain Life.
He's got a couple of lands in his hand. He's even going to attack. Yeah, he's attacking with the Bog Brew Witch as well.
Guessing
Yikes.
the other Newt's probably in the graveyard.
Yeah. Visco going to draw a card right now. I think that was Devout Invocation, I believe.
Yeah. It's white spell that's not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
Shove.
Okay, it's actually just a Celestial Flare. So let's see what
the-
he's going to sacrifice.
okay.
I think this Flare is actually going to catch a SCGRICH.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is the biggest creature on the board, but the least important of the 3. So that's going to die, and the Witch and the Newt are going to come through, and Cowley's just going to pass the turn back.
4 cards in hand for Cowley.
Yep. There's a Brindle
Boar.
Boar off the top.
Yeah. Man. Blocks my Newt.
Cowley going to play a land. 1, 2, and 3 mana being tapped. Maybe one more? Couple more. 5 mana.
Nightwing Shade.
Yeah, that's a good way to use all that mana he's got right now. I'll close out a game. I'll close out a game really, really fast. So Cowley's gonna draw a card.
Visco has an Advocate of the Beast.
All right.
Brindle Boar is not a beast.
It is not a beast. It is a boar. So Cowley's gonna untap here. It doesn't search for the Bog Brew Witch, so yeah, I'm with you. The other Festering Newt is likely in the graveyard right now.
Draws another land.
How many activations do we have here? 2, 3, 4. Looks like we got enough mana for 5 activations.
Probably wants to leave up the mana to brew something in the cauldron if
Yeah,
necessary.
I think so.
Cowley tapping a land, realizing there's no reason to throw the sensory deprivation on a guy.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's the thing that he did realize right now too. Is you're going to see some activations 1, 2, 3, and 4. So going to be 6 points of damage there from the Nightwing Shade. Going to put Visco down to 14. Because yeah, I don't think, as you said, he doesn't really have much of a reason to cast sensory deprivation right now. He's got his bases covered nicely with the Newt. The life that he's at 24 with the potential to go up to 28. Force the draw for Visco.
Yeah, even a Howl in the Night Pack is potentially not even enough. Even if he sequences Howl, he's going to have to Howl into Invocation like he did game 1, I think.
Yep. Creature's turning sideways.
Looks like almost a bit of a desperation attack here.
Yeah.
Just like,
And you see the block with the Witch there on the Brindle board, because if anything goes wrong, if there's a Giant Growth, if there's a Ranger Guile, what have you, then you can sacrifice the Newt. to kill it in response, because Visco only has one card in his hand, so it's a very safe block there for the Bogbrew Witch. So Cowley's going to draw his card. Going to play another land.
Now up to 5 activations with the Cauldron up.
Yep, and every land here is oddly enough good for him. He's in the beneficial situation of lands are good, spells are good, which is always an enviable place to be in.
Also known as Zendikar.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's favorite limited format.
I love that format, actually. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. Not until I tell you about being pied or not?
Yeah, that's right. That'll be an even trade.
Okay. So we shove in with the Witch and the Newt and the Shade, pumping up the Shade to just a 6/6.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
it.
good enough.
That's
Don't
just
need
a
more.
6/6.
I'm okay. I'll stay.
He's going to follow that up with...
Gnawing Zombie.
Yep.
We haven't really seen that one from this deck.
Yeah, this deck has 2 copies of Gnawing Zombie in the main and a 3rd one in the sideboard.
Not necessary, just too many Newts.
Yep. So Root Wall is the draw for David Visco. He's going to play that and pass the turn back. Cowley going to draw his card for the turn.
Oh, Blightcaster and Sensory Deprivation. Didn't need either of those.
Going to attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
So this is going to go up to 10, take 7, go down to 3, and I think a Newt activation off the Cauldron should get it done here. Yep, and that is what's going to happen. So Bruce Cowley is going to move on to 2-0 with the personal record, but is going to move his team's record to 3 wins and 2 losses. So for the Cowley brothers and Rose, 2 matches to go, as we'll cut over to Stephen Cowley and Albert Liao.
Another question is, will the Cowley team be in the situation of we just have to not get swept
Yep.
if they win this match? Or is it going to be 3-3 neck and neck going into the last round?
So let's see what kind of board position we're cutting into here, because this looks much like the Game 1 board position of creatures being turned sideways for Stephen Cowley. We see a Deadly Recluse, a Root Walla, a Troll Hide on a Siphon Sliver, a Ground Shaker Sliver, and a bunch of mana. For Albert Liao, he has an Academy Raider, a Striking Sliver, and an Elemental Token. So things do not look great for him right now.
There's even a lifelink Sliver construct on the far end of block.
See, life totals of 15 to 14. Cowley to Liao.
But
See a Pitchburn Devils over here, and a couple elementals that are going to be triple blocking that Ground Shaker Sliver.
that 15 life is going to go way up very fast.
Yes. Siphon Sliver, a sliver that we'll bring up on the screen for you guys so you can see that new one. All the slivers are a lot of fun. This is the black one. Not a lot of slivers in black, but this one will suffice.
It's actually the only one in the set, I think.
Yeah.
So it's 2 in a black, 2/2 sliver creature you control get lifelink.
Looks like it's shooting a fireball. It looks like a fireball hand motion. I'm probably wrong, but it looks like an Hadouken.
Yeah. And you know, I actually said this is the worst rare sliver in the set. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, because the sliver is good.
So Ground Shaker Sliver and Sliver Construct die in combat to the Pitchburn Devils trigger and the blocks. But Cowley jumping up to 24 life here from the 9 lifelink. And Albert left with 2 1/1s, one of which is Academy Raiders, gets in, pitches a most likely land, trying to get him out of this situation.
See what he finds. Draw a card, and he's a good one. It is a Barrage the Expendable, so not the best one. You see him consulting his teammates.
It's acceptable. It'll if you can keep a board presence, you can keep blocking the sliver with lifelink and throwing his guy for damage, preventing Stephen Cowley from gaining more life. There are potential, it's a card that gives him avenues to win.
Sure. Just one piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, he's gonna need a few more pieces. But.
Yep, he is. But it's a good place to start. So there is Barrage the Expendables. You see some mana available. He's going to be tapping 2. In comes a Goblin Short Cutter. And passing the turn back. So Stephen Cowley is going to untap his lands. Looks like he's got no cards in his hand. And draw a card. It is a Forest.
This looks like something that could be the start of a comeback.
It's possible. I mean, we see Cowley does have that Troll Hide on a Siphon Sliver, so that thing is a 4/4 regenerator with lifelink. The Recluse, Deadly Recluse, being a 1/2 is going to be able to trade with something here. We see some blocks here. Shortcutter getting in front of Root Wall as well. So looks like some chump blocks here from Cowley.
Looks like Liao might be trying to kill the Root Walla with the barrage here.
Yeah.
So in response to the Root Walla activation, we get to throw our chump blocker and the shortcutter at it and get rid of it. And keep our looter around, or our raider, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll always be a looter.
Yeah, it feels like a looter to me. Shoot there, shoot there. Root Wall is going to bite the dust. Root Wall trades for 2 cards.
No creature deal damage to you, so no lifelink on that sliver. Looks like Liao's last card is a Lava Axe. Not really what we want to see. Shiv's Embrace, that's one way to get back in it. Potentially, not necessarily what he wants to cast this turn, but if he starts drawing, if he draws his Primeval Bounty, he can start getting to a board state where he can churn out more and more creatures to block the sliver.
Yep.
If he draws, Molten Birth, yeah, he's opting not to cast it this turn. Draws just the Forest, and we're probably just going to see a second main Shiv's Embrace.
Yeah, I think you just play the Shiv's Embrace, hold the Forest, and discard to the Raider and just pass.
Yeah. As bad as that feels, I think it was correct.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, yeah, if we hold the Forest, let's see. That lets us draw Primeval Bounty and gain life and play a land guaranteed, but I'm okay just suiting this up because this is going to be our route to victory if we win this game.
Cowley's going to draw a card.
Looks like a Blood Baron.
Yep.
5 damage. Cowley up to 27. Liao down to 5. Civ Embrace over here has been winning a lot of games this weekend.
Yeah, and the question is, can it win this one? There's the Blood Baron. Liao going to untap. Going to draw a card. Let's see what he finds. It is...
Lure Sliver.
Okay, so that's a chump blocker. Potentially something that can trade with that Deadly Recluse, depending on what Cowley draws for his turn. Just see him consulting his teammates on, all right, guys, what do you think we can do?
It's worth noting that this Blood Baron is lethal and has to be blocked.
Uh-huh. He's reaching. All right. So he's going to come across for at least 3 in the air. Going to discard that Forest.
Yeah, Stephen Cowley with no Shivan Dragons in his deck to block this looter.
Draws another Forest. There's a Blur Sliver, there is a Forest, and that is a concession. So Stephen Cowley is going to win his match. The Cowley brothers are unstoppable. They are both 2-0.
Carrying Kyle Rose.
That means the team of Cowley, and Rose have 4 wins, and the team of Visco, Liao, and Murray, they've got 2.
Yeah, it's we were talking about Kyle Rose before as sort of the centerpiece of that team with all his Pro Tour top 8s, and this draft he's just kind of, yep, thanks guys, I'll take the wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
listen,
that's why it's a team.
Exactly.
That is why it is a team.
That's why I brought them with.
So that's gonna put Visco down to 0-2, and then Liao did defeat Rose the first go around, so he's gonna be 1-1 right now. So the individual records for each member on the team: Bruce Cowley and Stephen Cowley, both 2-0. Matthew Murray and Albert Liao, both 1-1, and then David Visco and Kyle Rose, both at 0-2. So they have to rally, does the team of Visco, Liao, and Murray, to win this match, and furthermore, to win this tournament.
I mean, didn't we see this? Wasn't it the rally that we saw?
We saw last time where it was a 3-0 by the team of Demestrio, Nezin, and Skarin. We saw them 3-0 the first round. Then we saw the team of Jensen, Turtenwald, and Duke 3-0 on the backside.
Okay.
And then they had the third round ended up coming down to the last match between Jensen and Demestrio. And Jensen was able to take that down and actually beat Angelic Skirmisher in the final game of the final round for the championship. So,
not bad.
Yeah, it was a heck of a tournament to watch.
Maybe we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, I think we might. As we're back here in the booth, Cedric Phillips, Ari Lax. Time to give away some premium to you, Matthew Hawkett at Hawkett's. Hawk Pockets. That's a good screen name. I love good Twitter names.
We have some easy and good ones.
Yeah,
lately.
I love good Twitter names. The answer to the question, of course, was Bubbling Cauldron, as the card that Ari and I were talking about, the third piece of the Mondo combo with Bog Brew Witch and Festering Newt. So good on you, Matt, for knowing that. Make sure you do follow at SCG Live so we can get the premium a full year. Over to you.
Yeah. Secret fourth piece. Elixir of Immortality.
Yeah, secret fourth piece, Elixir of Mortality, secret fifth piece, Diabolic Tutor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mondo combo. I am probably going to. I guess you can't force that deck unless you open a witch.
I can see you just being like, well, there's like reasonable cards and there's like a festering it, so I'm just gonna take that.
Yeah.
And then it's like 13th pick, and you're like, well, I could take, like this random recurse spirit at the table. I'm just gonna take the Cauldron, like pack 3. You start yelling at the screen.
Witch,
no, where's my witch?
Witch,
Where is it?
Where is the witch? Yeah. If I ever open the witch, the Bog Brew Witch, I'm just taking it. There's no way I'm passing it based off of what I've seen today. It's just not gonna happen. And don't pass me Bog Brew Witch unless you're trying to hook me real good, because I'm just gonna take it and just move in.
You know what's gonna happen now, right?
What?
You're gonna be team drafting versus people, and someone's gonna pass you a witch and move into black.
Worth it.
Worth it?
Challenge accepted.
Absolutely worth it.
I don't care. I'm not passing the witch. Not after what I have seen from Bruce Cowley's deck. I mean, first of all, you're gonna get combo piece number 4 for sure, because no one else is drafting Elixir of Mortality but me.
That's what you think.
All right, maniac. No one else is drafting it but that deck.
I'm gonna hate draft it from you. I'm gonna be sitting right next to you.
That's fine. Yep, you would do that. You would do that. And I'm gonna pie you in the face, because I know you haven't been pied. I don't care what you say. So, finals is where we are going to be headed here in a moment. Kyle Rose and his blue-white deck is going to be playing against David Visco and his green-white deck. So we're going to see a deck with some green-white creatures, a little bit of acceleration in the form of Verdant Havens, playing against Rose and his blue-white deck. Howl the Night Pack, and a card like Divine Invocation, are cards that I think Rose needs to be scared of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a note for Matt Hawk, be sure to follow us at SCG Live so you can receive your premium.
Yeah.
It's an important step.
Make sure you are doing that. But
And everyone else, if you're not Matt Hawk, be sure to follow us at SCG Live because
why
aren't
not?
you?
Yeah, why not? You just should be. Air Servant, I think, is going to be pretty big for Rose in this matchup. I don't think that, unless I think that Visco had a main deck Plummet.
Yes.
Yeah, so he does have a main deck Plummet. Deadly Recluse, he does not have Giant Spider. Obviously, doesn't win the fight against Air Servant anyway. He doesn't have that either.
Something interesting. This is a Celestial Flare Mirror.
Yeah, so Rose has 3 and Visco has 2.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of those flying around for this particular matchup here. So I think that things are probably in favor of Rose here because he has a lot of flyers. He has 3 Charging Griffins. He has a Griffin Sentinel or 2. He has 2 copies of Air Servant. So he's able to get in the skies, and then he has things that can play defense really well in the form of double Angelic Wall.
Yeah. I just want to see this Voracious Worm combo going off.
Yeah.
I want to see like turn 3 Brindlebore, turn 4 Verdant Haven, gain 2, tap the Verdant Haven land, sack my Brindlebore, play 8/8 Worm, go.
Celestial
No,
Flare.
you're ruining my fun.
Oh, okay. I'm the fun. Well, then don't take my Bog Brew Witch, and I won't ruin fun. See, I can play fair. I can be nice. I promise. The other match we'll see here: Matthew Murray versus Stephen Cowley. Matthew Murray has got the blue-black deck and Stephen Cowley's black-green deck, and I think this one favors Matthew Murray because he's got all of this removal and a KM answers against a very fair green-black deck.
Yeah. I just want to see some more witching. I want to see this red deck try and race the witch.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't think that Albert Laos deck can do that. The Newts are insane against this deck because he's an aggressive red deck, so the Newts are just being able to get in the way and block early, and if, the Bog Brew Witch comes online, then the combo is going to be online. I don't think that Laos deck can deal 30 points of damage.
Shiv's Embrace?
I mean, really good card, yes, but I mean, +2/+2 to one of his guys, is it going to give it 5 toughness so the Newt doesn't kill it when it's sacrificed? When the Bog Brew Witch is in play, that's the question.
I guess the other question is, with these Chandra's outrages, will the witch live?
That's true. That's true.
That's the kind of match that I kind of want to flip to at the end of a game and see what happens.
Yeah, see where we're at in the game. We're going to start with Kyle Rose yet again. Again, Pro Tour champion in '99, 4 Pro Tour top 8s, Grand Prix championship in a team tournament, Nationals championship, Team Worlds championship. He's won a couple things in his day, and we're gonna start here yet again.
We were actually talking about yesterday. We were mentioning Gindy's one of the few people who has all of these wins. Well, Kyle Rose is another. He's got Pro Tour, Grand Prix, U.S. Nationals.
Yep.
That's a big trio. There's very few people who can say that. It's Gindy, Luis, Kyle Rose.
Yeah, I have to dig up some other people. I would think that John. Yeah, I think John would have that.
Some pretty elite company.
Yeah, it's funny. Kyle Rose is a player that a lot of people just don't know about because he's old school. He's not on the ballot anymore for Hall of Fame. Doesn't really play as much anymore. You know, just an old school guy who a lot of people on Twitter were hoping that we could follow him at some point over the course of this week. Unfortunately, he's made it in the finals, so we're able to showcase him and show a good player. And his two teammates are no slouches either.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of that with these team tournaments. A lot of old school players coming out of the woodwork just to battle and crush. I believe Tom Guivin, or I'm at a loss how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, Tom G playing with Reitzel and David Williams in the last team tournament.
Yeah,
because Sperling wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
Even you made the top 4 at Grand Prix Providence. There were 2 old school teams there. Chris Manning teamed with Bruce Cowley.
Well, yeah.
And then the team that actually ended up winning
Longo
the tournament and Phillips and those guys, that was an old school team as well to go along with your team. And then Nakamura, Stark, and Juza.
Shion even came out for that event.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team with Luis.
Yeah, it brings out the old school player.
Yeah.
That's what makes team tournaments a blast.
Absolutely.
So Visco's going to start with a force. He's on the play again. Their team is the higher seed, but their back is against the walls. Rose just has the planes and is going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, that's interesting to note. So, voracious one for David Visco. The team with the higher seed gets to choose play draw in every match.
Mm-hmm.
So, they are behind 4-2 despite having the play draw choice every match. Visco looks like he's short on white mana. It looks like he has a Celestial Flare stranded in his hand, just 3 forests.
Yikes.
Voracious Worm and Advocate of the Beast being held back by this Angelic Wall. Kyle Rose just has his 3 mana up. And
looks like Brindlebore was the draw, I think.
Yep.
Verdant Haven in his hand as well, so he can't have access to white mana. There's a block immediately on the Voracious Worm. Gonna take 2 damages. Rose push himself down to 18.
Looks like Visco is going to spend this turn Verdant Havening, opting not to develop his board with the board. He could wait a turn, try and draw land, curve the Verdant Haven to a 2-drop, but he just wants his white mana for sure. Water Servant hits the board for Kyle Rose, going to hold back these 2 power creatures. No second white for Visco to cast this flare, but instead we've got a 4/4 Bailoff. Triggers off the Advocate of the Beast.
Negative 5/5. See him pointing to it. There's your trigger. A little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. So Rose going to draw a card. Does not look happy about that draw step. Looks like it's possible that it looks like it's possible that Visco did miss the trigger on the Rumming Bailoff because he did pass the turn. What it looks like to me is he probably just said go and then click and hit it for a trigger. And that's incorrect order of operations.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see. Sentinel Sliver, 2 Celestial Flares in hand for David Visco. Looks like we're going to fire off a Brindlebore?
Yep. All right, so he gets it this time.
Oh, there we
go.
go.
You got it last time, too. Okay,
time.
sure.
Yeah,
You're just looking for a die. Got it.
Okay. So 6/6 in play. David Visco probably trying to figure out how he can A, get it big enough to attack through the Water Servant, and B, what creature is going to get in there as well to sort of eat a flare. How many creatures are going to get in as well to eat a flare? Because again, we mentioned this yesterday, you can flare after damage has been dealt. So, they know Kyle Rose has to have some amount of flares. They saw them just wheel on the table.
Yep.
So playing around that card is going to be one of the keys of this stage of the game.
Assuming that there's good communication with the teammates as well. They have written down the instance or the tricks they've seen from Cowley's and Rose about, hey, he does have Celestial Flare in his deck, at least one. Don't know exactly how many he has, but you can attempt to play around it. You see Visco consulting his teammates right now about, okay, what does he have? What makes this a bad attack? What should I be trying to accomplish on this turn?
Looks like he has a Ranger's Gal in hand, but unfortunately for him, that would not stop a Celestial Flare in any way.
Nope.
Might be able to jump this guy over the Water Servant. Water Servant can go up to a 6/1, so Ranger's Gal is exactly enough, but he might want to just save that Ranger's Gal as a counter for something like a Disperse.
Sure.
So it looks like Steve Cowley took a quick 1-0 victory over Matthew Murray. Remember, they only need one match win to win the tournament. Looks like Brindlebore gets in alongside the Baloth. And David might not know about the Celestial Flare trick. Let's see if Kyle has it and if Kyle knows.
Yeah, and he definitely knows, because he says after damage, take care of this creature. You can definitely tell that he knows.
Yeah.
And so the way that that works, of course, is because after damage is dealt, you know, you're still in combat, so the creature is still attacking. So at the end of combat step, once you regain priority, you can cast Celestial Flare, and there's a creature still attacking, which is that Rumbling Baloth, and so he has to sacrifice him.
Yep.
It's not something that comes up often.
No.
But
this is the first time we saw it this tournament, but it was a big one. Yeah, it's very likely. I don't think David knew about that. It looks like he just let the Brindlebore die and didn't gain life too potentially. So
Visco going to draw a card here. Looks like he finally drew up Plains. You can see a little bit of frustration there, as he was trying to play around Celestial Flare but didn't realize exactly how to play all the way around it. Here is that, and there is a Celestial Flare of his own to take care of that Water Servant.
Kyle Rose could have double blocked to avoid it. Maybe they haven't really seen these flares out of Visco. Maybe they think he has all the flares. Now that he knows, no. Probably won't make that same mistake again.
All the Celestial Flare tricks.
Yeah.
And Celestial Flare is going to take care of that.
Yeah, that card is really interesting. Creates a lot of sub-games.
Yep.
Angelic Wall for Kyle Rose to two power creatures for David Visco. Advocate of the Beast and Voracious Worm.
You see in Rosen, he has a negate in his hand right now. There's a Brindlebore. Rose says that's fine. Getting in the attack here. Celestial Flare. Number 3, I think that is for number 3 of the match. I think it's 2 from Rose.
We've
block there.
We've seen that cast at all times. Beginning of combat, you know, not beginning of combat. After attackers, before blocks, so we can block the correct 2/2. You know, after damage, after a trick's been played in blockers. A lot of range to that one.
Yeah.
Kyle Rose still just stuck with his Angelic Wall. David Visco sitting here with two power creatures. He's kind of looking at this plummet, debating if he wants to, you know, throw it out here.
Yep.
I don't think you can. I think you need to save your last 2 removal spells. You are getting in damage. Kyle Rose is at 12 life? 12 already?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he could plummet that out of the sky and then get in for 4, put him to 8. It would be a 3-turn clock, but I think we're going to see negate counter this, and we are. So it's going to put him down to 10. So 5 turns to go for Visco. It's a long way.
I actually think that that plummet getting negated is one of the better outcomes for David here.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that actually he should have attacked and used the Purge. I don't think he should have been so afraid of the wall and getting in the damage quickly. I think that if he just controls the flyers with his plummet, with his flare on any attacks, he can actually win this game, you know, stay ahead for a significant amount of time. You know, even if Kyle plays an Air Servant, like what's he going to do, not block with it?
Yeah. There's a Plains here. Plus, you know, negate for Rose, you know, he has, Visco has Howl the Nightpack and Devout Invocation, which are 2 cards you'd love to negate.
Exactly.
So.
Or, you know, just negate a later removal spell on an Air Servant.
Yep. So here's a Purge again.
Flare takes down Brindlebore.
Wall of block there.
Let's see. Looking at this deck list here, I think David may have wanted to sack the Advocate. It looks like he only has a single Rumbling Gale with his Beast.
Sure. So that's just going to be a 2 through the entire game.
Yeah, I think the 4 life is potentially much more relevant against a blue-white deck that could represent a race.
Sure.
The Sorcarimancer is also potentially able to play a really important role later, essentially eating a Celestial Flare for a turn.
Force off the top here for Visco, so he's building his force count pretty high. He has 5 in play right now. If he does draw a Howl the Nightpack, in for 2 he's going to go. Down goes the wall via the flare. And passing the turn back. So we've had 5 Celestial Flares cast between both players right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of flares.
You see Rose is going to put the match on timeout and consult with Cowley. Looks like Cowley's looking for a little help on a mulligan decision. You see Rose saying, not quite sure what you should do with this one.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure at all.
Let's see. You can get that mulligan in view.
Well, Visco, Murray is going to take a mulligan.
This looks like this is a land-heavy, no threat. It's got a prey on the weak. One of those kind of do-nothing mulligans.
Yeah.
So, I think this Visco versus Rose matchup really sort of highlights one of the fundamental points of limit is, how conservative are you with your removal? Like, when do you push? Like that's like your big question is like way too long in removal, and you could easily lose. Use it too early, you'll just have nothing for the real threats.
Agreed.
And, people always talk about holding it, and this might be a scenario where it's definitely right, but Visco clearly thought that I need to race downhill against Kyle, and I need to be the aggro. It's very possible that that was his plan all along, to try and get through the damage. Looks like he's getting brick walled here with the Condor. Sensory deprivation gets countered by Ranger's Guile.
We'll see what Visco draws for his turn. Coming in for 2, yeah. So Rose is going to go down to 8. You see Rose has a Trained Condor and a Chaomancer. He's going to draw a card.
So, attacks for 3, Visco down to 17. If you're Visco and you draw Invocation, do you cast it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough part, right? I mean, is it worth it for that card, a 7-mana 4/4? Is it going to add another creature to the board, an Advocate of the Beast number 2? I mean, now I cast it if I draw it, but yeah, the prior situation, I really don't know. I don't think so.
Kyle Rose is going to get in for 3. Scroll Thief gains flying. Kyle draws a card.
So, +1. See what he finds now. Especially with the Scroll Thief Trained Condor combo, something we're going to see for the next couple of months. It's the best. I think it's the best way, honestly, to get Scroll Thief through. As now, here's a Charging Griffin, and Rose is going to pass the turn back. So now the clock and the pressure is really being put on David Visco to draw a relevant card right away. It looks like he drew 8 planes for the turn.
That looks like
never mind. Is that the invocation?
Yeah.
It is the invocation. Okay. So Rose is going to take a look at this, and this is definitely worth reading.
Make 2 angels, dome up the board for a while. I think the important thing is that you need to wait till you make 2 angels, because losing your spell to disperse sounds terrible.
Yep, I agree. So in a game that Rose looked like he was maybe pulling ahead with, that Trained Condor, the Charging Griffin, and the Scroll Thief, now he is behind due to a Devout Invocation and 2 4/4 angels showing up.
Yeah, 2 4/4 angels, incidentally 8 power to his 8 life. But here's an Air Servant.
Wow. Big draw step there for Rose. He's going to pass the turn back. Now the skies are unlocked.
Yep, without the plummet, I don't think Visco has an answer at all.
Yeah, the plummet was already cashed in, you're right.
Yeah.
Going to have an activation there of Air Servant, going to tap the angel token down. Other one can get in, and might as well, right? It's going to get tapped anyway.
It's never going to do anything ever again.
The only thing now, if you're Rose, is do I want to block? What do I fear? Is there a post spell that can kill me from 8? And I do not believe there is, correct? Giant Growth?
No, there's no instant speed pump spell he can cast here. The question is whether you play around and enlarge in a later turn.
Sure. There could also be the combination of 2 pump spells, because Visco does have 2 cards, so it could be double Giant Growth or Giant Growth Ranger's Guile. That's a thing that could happen.
Yeah.
But
Show of Valor.
Yeah, pretty unlikely scenario.
Fortify.
Yep.
There's enough pump spells that 2 is not out of reason. It's just unlikely.
Yeah.
The question is whether you throw away your Condor or your Griffin. I'd probably throw away the Griffin, actually. If I'm going to chump with anything. I think the Condor drawing me an extra card a turn is really important.
Rose decides that he is just going to take the damage, goes down to 4, does not die. Visco follows up with a Root Wall and is going to pass the turn back. So now, Rose has the opportunity to untap Air Servant online with a lot of mana.
Now the question is, what can he attack with?
That is the question.
Let's see. Visco at 14, 4, 5, 6, 7. Scroll Thief, Condor, Air Servant kills in 2 attacks.
But you have to be wary of those ground pounders when you're at 4. Playing against a green deck that can have access to pump spells, or like a card that you mentioned in Enlarge.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way for him to play around Enlarge here.
Sure.
Okay, so it looks like he's debating just Griffin plus Air Servant, also lethal in stacks.
Also 7.
This way he doesn't lose to Giant Growth.
Yep. Rose asking how many cards, answers 1. So come across here, trigger the Griffin, put you down to 7, Mr. Visco. Pass the turn back.
Kyle Rose will still have 3 mana up for any potential flyers that you cast, any potential,
Which we do see.
Right. Said he has his hand with negate.
Yep, Troll High, the draw.
Okay.
Rose says that resolves. As you guys can see on the top of the screen, Albert Liao actually did defeat Bruce Cowley game 1, so the Bog Brew Witch deck is down a game right now. Tap the flyers, everything's going to get in. I think we're probably just going to see Rose just go block, block, block.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he has to block the root wall, he has to block the advocate.
Yeah.
And then the other advocate, the Scroll Thief, is just going to jump in the way.
Yeah, gotcha.
Free roll.
Yep.
Complete and utter free roll.
So we put a trained Condor probably on the root wall to force it to pump. And then we're going to put the Akalamancer on that one. And then Scroll Thief actually gets to run directly into the Advocate of the Beast without anything bad happening.
Yep.
Looks like these are going to be the blocks.
Kyle kind of shrugging, like, yeah, I guess that's what happens.
So, after the dust settles, 2 creatures die for Rose. He's going to untap. And you see that Visco just has up Plains, Forest, but I can't imagine
Frog.
that Rose doesn't go for it on the Ham Heater, and he is going to win game number 1. So, Rose wins game number 1 over David Visco. Stephen Cowley up 1 over there, and Albert Liao up 1 in his match. So, we'll see who we're going to cut to, because remember, Stephen Cowley and Matthew Murray both took a mulligan in their games, and each consulted their teammates to do so. So we'll see how their match is going, because that's what we're going to cut to.
Yeah. Keep in mind, any win on the Cowley-Rose side, and it's over.
Yep.
There's a trophy.
That's correct. The team of Murray, Visco, and Liao, their back is against the wall. Even more so now that Murray and Visco are both down a game. As we come here, update this, we see a Doomblade taking care of Deadly Recluse right now. You also see on Murray's side, Train Condor and Messenger Drake coming into the red zone. Cowley looks like he's going to go down to 6 from that attack.
Yeah. Green Doomblade trades for Black Doomblade.
Yeah. Tenacious D, the only card in there for Murray, going to come into the red zone. And now here is a Sliver Construct, and Cowley passes the turn back to Murray, who's going to come in for flying damage yet again, put Cowley down to 1, pass the turn back. So it's going to take something helpful, and it is not there. So Stephen Cowley's going to concede that game. Matthew Murray is going to even it up there, so he's still giving his team some life. It's not over yet for Liao, Murray, and Visco.
Kyle Rose, got to be worth your 1. That's just we just need 1 from you. Just 1. Is that too much to ask from a Pro Tour champion?
That's what the Cowley brothers are thinking right now. 4 Pro Tour top 8s, 1 win, all his accomplishments. Get us 1, big man.
Just 1.
Get us 1.
It's always the worst when you 0-3 and your teammates look at you, you're just like, yeah. It's even worse when you 0-3-0-6.
I think he has some game wins.
He has to have a game win.
Well, he has one now, so
Oh, yeah.
there's that. There's that.
Sure.
If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Ari Lax here in the booth. Star City Games Open Series has made it to Richmond, Virginia. If you guys do want to join us on Twitter, of course, feel free at SCG Live, hashtag SCGRICH for your tweets. Again, Kyle Rose, Bruce Cowley, and Stephen Cowley are currently ahead 4-2. And Liao, Murray, and Visco back against the wall, but Liao is up a game. Murray's just evened it up, and Visco down a game. We're actually going to stay with the Rose-Visco match. You see all of them are shuffling right now because Rose could potentially be the final game of this tournament. So we're going to stick there. We'll stick with the Pro Tour champion, among other things on his resume.
The everything champion.
He does a few things. He's won a match or 2 or 20.
Yeah.
Boy, I think, man, I'm a little bit surprised that Cowley lost that red deck. I wonder how that game ended up playing out. Maybe he just didn't find the witch or wasn't able to get the engine online fast enough. But the game looked like it went kind of long.
Yeah,
So maybe a Primeval Bounty was involved.
Possibly. Yeah, it was a little long for Regathan Firecat Shiv's Embrace. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was a little surprised about, too, to see that game take a little while. And I figured if the game's going to go long, Bruce Cowley take it down. But Bruce is down a game with his Bog Brew Witch, Bubbling Cauldron, Festering Newt, Elixir of Immortality deck.
The actual Bog Brew.
Yeah, don't de-sleeve that, Bruce. Just keep it. Frame it.
Yeah.
I keep some of my good some of my good booster draft decks.
I did that for a while. I actually had the one from one of the ones from Providence. They use Urza Saga set stamp, like the gears as the stamps for the.
Okay.
It was real nice.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then I needed sleeves for another draft.
The PTQ that I won to qualify for Pro Tour Kyoto, I actually won in Detroit at Pandemonium. I kept that top 8 deck because it had a Sharding Sphinx, a Battle Grace Angel, and a what's the double strike exalted guy? Rafik of the Many.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my deck.
I did not keep. It's funny. I won one in Ohio.
I came into your stomping grounds. You came into mine.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So we see Kyle Rose with an Island Visco with a Forest and a Plains, but no 2-drop. An Island here for Rose and just passed the turn back. I wonder if Rose has white mana. Very far away from a Celestial Flare right now, as Visco has a Root Twala. That's going to pass the turn. Say best 3-drop?
Best 3-drop he could ask for.
Yeah. Looks like he's going to disperse that back to the hand. There's a Plains for Rose right off the top of the deck. And the big follow-up is going to be a Train Condor.
Pretty good one in this matchup.
I like that card more and more the more I see it. Really do.
The Bailoff.
Yep, that's huge.
Looking at Visco's hand and seeing a Verdant Haven, I'm really hoping for it. I just want to see that Worm get some counters.
Yeah.
It's been Grizzly Bear this whole time.
Train Condor coming to the air. 18 for Visco. See if Rose has a follow-up, maybe one of his Charging Griffins that he has 3 of. Reaching, 3 mana. Just a Scroll Thief. All right, so time for a little card draw, perhaps.
Visco has to end this fast.
Yeah. 3.
Ooh.
Advocate of the Beast. That's a good attempt to do that. Also representing Celestial Flare right now, too. Again, he has 2 of those. Rose has 3 of them, so has white up. I don't think it's going to deter Rose from attacking. I think Rose may have a negate in his hand as well. There's your trigger. There's your flare.
Rose opted to sack Condor.
He looked through his hand. We saw a negate, and he said, "All right, that's fine."
Probably
gonna draw
needs
a
to draw
card.
the second white for a flare in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he drew another blue.
So Rose gonna play an island.
Looking at a Messenger Drake and a negate, some other spells. I guess the debate is whether you play the 5-drop or whether you want to leave things up, but I think he's got to get the bigger flyer in.
Yeah, I think we might just be in a racing situation here.
Yeah. Especially with a Root Walla in Visco's hand. 5. Rose not blocking, dropping to 11.
Mm-hmm. I think we might see that Root Walla now.
Yep.
Can see the Verdant Haven as well. Might want to. Do you want to save the Verdant Haven or you just want to cast it?
I want to save it.
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah, of course you do. I don't know why I asked.
Well, also, like, this is a situation where you can get Kyle to commit to lines of play that he's thinking he can race at some point, and then just have the 2-life throw it off.
That's true. That's true.
And unless you're afraid of it getting negated, because that's your big fear, I don't really know what to say to that.
Yeah.
So Bailoff up to 2 counters. So we got a 6/6. Bailoff going to get dispersed in the near future, but this Archaeomancer left Rose with only 1 mana open.
I think you keep attacking her. I think you get in with the Messenger Drake. I think that's your only good attack. So I think you probably get in with it. I mean, you could just play some defense because it does stop
Gives you good double blocks on the root.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It does give you good double blocks, assuming that you believe Visco doesn't have a trick, or unless Kyle has Pay No Heed in his hand.
Yeah, I think Kyle's going to actually triple block the Root Walla because this is also the same concept.
Yep.
You just need to have a guy so you can not lose the flare.
And so
he does have Pay No Heed.
Yeah,
Card's doing some good work.
I like that trick a lot in this format. I really do. There's a follow-up there of the Vigilant Sliver.
It's a reasonable defensive trick. Bailoff up to a 7 power, but going to get dispersed very soon. Sentinel Sliver joins the crew for David Visco. Neither of these, the Advocate and Sentinel Sliver, aren't really getting anywhere against the Scroll Thief, but Kyle Rose is at 11, and this Bailoff is just going to come right back down after this disperse, and Angelic Wall for Kyle.
Angelic Wall actually quite good here too.
Kyle opting to pass with the disperse. If he's planning on he's forced to chump block, and I think I would have just dispersed there and given David one less chance to draw the Ranger's God that he has.
That's true. But disperse is going to resolve no Ranger's God. I'm just going to recast the Bailoff and put a +1/+1 counter it. And a follow-up of Brindlebore as well, so some more life gain there for Visco. And there's your counter. 5/5 Bailoff regrowing, as Rose is going to draw a card sitting at 11 life, but has all the cards in his hand versus Visco with just 1. but Rose still without double white. Messenger Drake, will it come in?
Does it have to hold the fort against all these 2/2s?
Mm-hmm. It is going to come in. All right. So Visco going to go down to 13. See him tapping some mana, and we're going to see an Air Servant. So the race is on.
Incidentally, that attack puts Visco to dead and 2 to Air Servant Drake.
Yep.
So that's probably the key turning point on that
Yep.
decision. Air Servant also perfectly capable of blocking at 2/2.
Does a nice job of that, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, everything else, because it's Air Servant.
Yeah, it's not a flying cockroach, not a 4/2.
It does literally everything.
Yeah. Bailoff comes in, and Kyle's probably just sitting here debating, go to 6, do I chump? I think you can take this hit. I think chumping a later hit is a bit more value.
I do too. I think you can afford to take this hit for various reasons, honestly.
Yeah. If you take this hit, it also means you're at 6, which is 2 drop plus a Giant Growth, not lethal.
Yep.
Worth noting, it's also not dead in 2 because of the Brindle Board on those attacks.
That's also true. There's a second planes finally for Mr. Rose. Might change Visco's plans moving forward. As you see, Rose is going to attack 4/7 in the air, going to put Visco down to 6.
Just passes.
Yeah, with all of his mana up, 2 cards in his hand.
Frost Breath? I'm guessing Frost Breath.
Everybody getting in. No Frost Breath here. It's just
Oh.
attacks.
Flare?
Yep. Which we thought we would see. There goes your
Takes on
Sentinel
Sliver.
Sliver.
There you can see the worm. If he had saved that Haven, he has extra lands in hand. He would have had his mana all the way through, and he could have had the counters on the worm. We'll see if that ends up mattering down the line.
Could also, as you say, mess up the life, because Visco would be down to 4 right now.
Yeah.
Instead of being at 6, so it could also just mess up the life counting that Rose would do.
Yeah.
For how he's trying to sequence the game.
Yeah. Visco was pretty high on mana already, so that
Yeah.
was. If you're having mana issues, saving it's pretty bad. But it looked like he had more than enough to go around.
Mm-hmm.
So Scroll Thief's looking like he's gonna step in front of something. The question is whether he wants to gain 6 life with it, or whether he wants to block a 2/3.
Yeah.
Again, I think you want to block a 2/3 with the Scroll Thief. Again, this Bailoff hit is fine to take. 11 minus 6 is 5, and that means that you can chump the Bailoff next turn, take both the 2/2s, and live.
Okay.
So it looks like Murray is mulliganing.
Jeez.
Is that a mull to 3 we're hearing about?
Matthew Murray is taking a mulligan to 3 in Game 3 of his match against Stephen Cowley when his team cannot afford to lose.
Yeah, that does
Tough
not.
spot to be in. As you see, Scroll Thief is going to block the Brindle Board. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage is going to
There
come
we go.
through.
Needs another blocker next turn.
Yep.
There we go. That's what it was. Sacrificing the Brindle Board. Oh.
Yep.
Oh
Gonna go
boy.
up to 10 and then make a 6/6.
Yeah. I think I'd actually rather have another creature in play.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
But a 6/6 worm, no slouch. Going to put Visco up to 10 as Rose is going to draw his card. Might have to put the brakes on now.
If he draws another creature with, let's see, we're at 3. Any blocker is good enough for him to kill into.
Yep. Yeah, plus any blocker he can just attack with Air Servant, put him down to 6, leave the Messenger Drake back on defense to be able to block the Advocate of the Beast, and the other 2 guys chump.
I would rather attack with both because 7 plus 7 is 14, and gaining 4 life is Brindle Board. So I think I would play around him drawing a Brindle Board rather than him drawing a Pump Spell.
Okay.
Because we've seen a lot of Brindle Board.
Yep.
Though I guess if there's one in the graveyard already, it's debatable. So he's going to attack with both. Play a Charging Griffin past the turn.
Visco's going to untap. He's going to draw Visco down to 3. Rose, ready to block the 2 biggest creatures. Advocate of the Beast will put him down to 1. Everybody's going to come into the red zone. Rose with the very obvious blocks. Is there a Pump Spell in my future? Is there a Ranger's Guile? Is there anything? Both my guys die. I go down to 1.
This attack would let Visco beat a Celestial Flare.
Yep.
So Yeah.
but one is
or
not
Rose, yeah.
none. Rose comes in with both, and that
Woo!
is it.
Still had this negate.
Kyle Rose, Bruce Cowley, and Stephen Cowley are your team sealed Richmond champions.
Looks like Stephen Cowley even managed to take that one down at the same time,
Yeah.
too, for a decisive 6-2 victory.
Congratulations to those three gentlemen. Again, Bruce Cowley, Stephen Cowley, the Cowley brothers, and Kyle Rose, a 4-time Pro Tour Top 8 competitor, are your team sealed Richmond champions in pretty decisive fashion.
Yeah. Not one of the teams we were looking at the start of the day, but as we started to see them sort of creeping out the standings, we're just, wait, we know who these people are. They're good.
Again, remember, this is the team that gave Huey Jensen, Owen Turtenwald, and Reed Duke their second loss. This is the team that knocked out the 1 seed in the top 4 in Drew Levin, Jarvis Shue, and Jason Ford, a team that was 8-0-1 going to the top 8. We're going to have the play all the way through. They knocked them out as well.
They beat them in sealed.
Yes.
They had not lost a match in sealed.
Correct.
They beat them in that format to get to the draft.
Yeah. And Levin, you, and Ford had very good sealed decks.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, Cowley's and Rose's, they weren't bad, but I would not say they were as good as Ford, Levin, or you, especially including that Ford, Levin, and you are very competent pilots as well.
Yes.
So giving players of that caliber very good sealed decks is always very dangerous. And Rose and the Cowley brothers were able to overcome that, be able to win that match, draft some pretty good decks here. Again, I think they had the best deck of the 6 in Bruce Cowley's deck.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And they were able to win this draft in pretty decisive fashion, even though it did go the full 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So, pretty impressive stuff. Pretty impressive stuff. M14 shaping up to be a pretty good limited format, I think.
Yeah, it's actually after watching, I was kind of scared at first, but